Welcome in, everybody, to the Danger Zone. It is Friday night already. Full show on deck. We had the first week of free agency, the first week of the Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji era. Let us know what you thought about some of the moves they made and sound off in the chat. Hit the like button. Come hang because St. Patty's Day is around the corner, and you might be able to get some of the luck of the Irish to rub off on you. Anyways, let's hit this intro, and then we'll get into some of these newsworthy bites that's been happening literally since Sunday.
I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking, let's go Jets. JTS, Jets. We can't all be beautiful.
You're in the danger zone.
What is up?
What's
Welcome
up?
to the Danger Zone. Dude,
Air drum, air guitar, everything. That intro gets me lit, man. I love it.
Dude.
I love it.
For real, man. I got to contact the guy who produced that song and just say, hey, I need lifetime rights because this $20 a month is a lot, but damn, that is a banger, man. I'll do it, $10 a week if I have to.
I'll chip in because it's a banger. And it's us. I feel like it's a good way to get into our Friday nights, man. Hey, guys, like Dane said earlier, it's the closest thing we got to St. Patrick's weekend. It's on Monday, and everybody's going to forget about it by next weekend. So, got like two different shades of green going on here, and as a Jets fan, it's hard not to wear green, right? So it works out for us. This is Jets fan holiday. It's right in the middle of free agency. Why not? But I'm excited. We got some topics to talk about tonight.
Bro, and I'm not even going to front, man. I didn't realize that St. Patty's was that rapidly approaching. And then you told me in the green room. So shout out to you, man. If anyone watched this show, they would put money on me being the Irishman, and that's it. In fact, we both are. So salute to you, brother.
Salute. Hey, cheers, sir. Cheers.
Yeah, facts, man. I was just going to say, you can tell we're both Irishmen, right?
Yeah. I mean, Murphy. You don't get much more Irish than that. But yeah. Wow. Free agency. And,
exactly, man. Sorry I cut you off there. That's my bad, man. That kind of crept up on me too, man. Legal tampering was here, and Well, even before that, let me start there because I hear someone in the green room. I'm going to bring them out, another co host of the channel. In the meantime, though, talk to me about the Jets retaining one of our own and paying the stud Jamie and Sherwood, man.
Hey, so it's a move that got everybody excited. It's actually funny because it put us in a conundrum. Everybody got Scott. Everybody got all excited because we brought back Jamie and Sherwood and stuff, and that's like a homegrown guy that we developed, and like he led the league in tackles last year, and like it seemed like we actually developed talent, right? So we're excited that we brought him back, and then we hit free agency, and it felt a little less than that. It was like he started off high and then he just kind of like went down a little bit. But we'll get into more of that stuff later. Jamie and Sherwood, he's seems to have turned into a solid player. Maybe he has Pro Bowl, All Pro potential. If he continues to ascend like he did over the years, I could see it. Um, I'm excited about it. The money was a good bit, but it wasn't like out of this world 20 million plus or a year or anything. But um, I like the signing, but I do want everybody to know that yeah, he led the league in tackles last year, but I'm just going to be the guy that dampers it. He also led the league in missed tackles last year. So he's not a perfect player, but there's plenty of room for him to grow. I'm still excited about it. I think there's a lot of potential there. I like the kid. I like his attitude. I like how he learned under C.J. Mosley for years. Rest in peace. And overall, I think it's a good signing.
Scott, talk to me, man. Well, first off, welcome, man. Glad to have you. I needed you here for some other. Hey, look at that koozie. I needed you here for some other takes tonight. But until we get to the takes in specific that I'm thinking of, what do you think of the Sherwood extension?
Well, I think every single Jet fan wanted that, right? I mean, I never heard anybody say, don't bring back Sherwood. Not once. Normally you're going to hear something on both sides, but no, of course, that's great. All for it. Did you happen to see that thing I put in your Discord?
Depends on, yeah, go ahead.
It was performance-based earnings, the top 10. I don't know if you saw it, but he was number one.
Yeah, I saw that, and it was a good point. Like he overplayed or outplayed what he was making before.
Contract,
Getting him now where he's at, I mean, he got a pretty good contract from us, but like I said, it's not ludicrous. It actually just shows how Joe Douglas really nailed that Quincy Williams contract. Like he got it right before he popped off, and we're only paying him. Dane, is it $8 million a year? Is that what we're paying Quincy right now?
Yeah, it was 3 for 18. 3 for 18, so
wow.
6 8.
So
yeah,
6 APY. Wow. See that's a hitting out the park. But the cap since then has gone up tremendously. So that you also have to factor that in. Because I know looking at these numbers of these free agents, man, I'm like, holy cow, like that guy made that much. And then I just have to keep myself grounded and say, oh, wait a second, the cap just went up like freaking 25 million almost. So it's just, it's something to keep in mind. I think that what we're paying him is fair. I think he's a good player. I'm not mad at it at all. It just shows me that, Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji have recognized a guy that's battled his way and he's learned and he worked his way up the depth chart, and that's the type of culture guy you want in the locker room. So why not? Yeah.
And it really doesn't seem ludicrous when you consider what, oh gosh, our ex defensive lineman got in Washington. Pretty much the same contract, right?
In-law, yeah.
In-law.
yes,
I mean,
identical.
Shocking to me that he got that. But
yeah, I'm actually not shocked. I think
Really?
it's stupid. I agree with you guys that it's stupid, but I'm not shocked at that. Look at what we paid him last year. It was more than we should have. I think that it's just people. It used to strictly be edges, like 5 years ago or so. Like edges were like the hot commodity. You pay those guys. They're one of the most important parts on your teams. And then well, maybe it was a little more than 5 years ago, but when Aaron Donald just blew the scene up and showed how important interior pressure is on the defensive line, then teams are now really recognizing how important it is to have a stud defensive tackle like that. Obviously nobody's Aaron Donald, but I'm just saying, like, you want to have competent guys on the inside creating pressure, and it makes a huge, huge difference.
I'm
So I'm
with
not.
you. And guys, just a heads up in the chat. It's definitely going to be a call-in show because honestly, I want to hear a variety of takes. I'm sure you guys do too. With each signing, it seems like you get some people that like it, some that hate it. The next guy I'm going to mention, I think, is the most polarizing of the bunch. And I'm just going to rip that scab right off and see what you guys think of this one. It is Justin Fields to the New York Jets. All indications are to be QB1. Thoughts on that acquisition?
Actually, my first thought at seeing this graphic is, I'm like, Dane, did you like do this right before the show? Because they just announced that he was number 7, not that, what, a few today, like a few hours ago. So I'm like, wow, that's Dane was cooking before the show when he made this edit. Um, anyway, so Fields, I the money. That's the first thing that was stood out to me, man. I was not shocked that we got Fields. We've talked about this going into free agency. Um, we we knew it was a possibility because he's the only guy that was available to where he could be a bridge, but he also had that upside. So like, it's kind of one of those things like Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn likely knew that 2025 was not our Super Bowl year. I think most of us know that. But it was like, if you take it doesn't, so if you're not going to the Super Bowl, does it matter who your quarterback is, really? I mean, I'm not saying tank. You want to be competitive, but why not take the risk on the guy with the upside? I just didn't see him getting 20 million a year. That was like the biggest thing to me. That's what stood out to me because I thought 15 at most per year. I was thinking 12 or 13 a year is what he was going to get, but he ended up getting 20 million a year, 30 guaranteed, 2-year contract. I didn't know it was going to be 2 years either. I kind of thought maybe one year, maybe it would be two, but um, I'm not upset about it, but I did not jump out of my seat when I saw that we've signed Justin Fields. At least we might have some exciting football to watch. He adds a new dynamic to our offense, so I think, not that we'll necessarily be better on offense, but we could be more exciting, I think.
You know, and that's a good point. I do feel like your expectations for 2025 really set the bar for what you feel about this signing. Like 3 months ago, if you talked to me at Christmas and asked me what I thought 2025 would be like, the last thing I thought would be semi exciting. Um, I just didn't, man. Like the way we were heading, what we just endured for how many years with a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, like, I don't know, man. I like the signing. My Scott, I want to hear from you next. But my big thing with Fields was how much money, because so many people were like, "Yeah, I would give Justin Fields 8 million to come in as a rental." And that's what paused me because I'm like, are you guys crazy? Like, this guy is going to get money. He's the only one on the market besides Darnold. And 5 to 10 teams need quarterbacks every year. I was thinking he would get like, and really want the third year. I thought he would get 3 years, 50 million. and I didn't want to pay 3 years for 50 million. Well, we kind of did. We did 2 for 40. And yeah, we could get out soon. It's going to be 2 for 40. But yeah, talk to me, Scott. What do you think of us bringing in Fields? Think of our situation. Think of who was available. What do you think?
Based on the off-season approach, I don't mind it. I'm not excited about it. I'm not excited about Justin Fields. Boy, I hear some comments of people really viewing this through jet green lenses, But change is exciting, and there's a lot of that going on, and that's the point. I don't think there was a big market for him. That's why he is here on a pretty light contract. I heard the Steelers offered him 15 mil per. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but I don't like that. Well, I don't know that it's happened, but I don't like if he's been guaranteed the starting job. I'd prefer he competed with Tyrod. Lord knows, even if Tyrod starts, Fields is going to play. So, anyway, yeah, it's fine considering what's going on. I don't think he's going to be a long-term quarterback or anything. If he is, then great, Jets hit a home run, really, because if he doesn't look good the next year, maybe 2, then he's done in New York.
And I actually looked that up this today. Sorry, Daniel. You can.
No, you're fine.
The only thing I wanted to add was next year if we made him a post June 1st cut next year, and I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying if we needed out of the deal post June 1st, it would be 13 million dead. So like that's not a huge commitment if you ask me.
No.
Yeah, I mean it's a 2-year deal. It's not like we went all out for this guy. So that's why I can't be too upset about it, and which I'm not. I'm not really upset. I'm just like meh about it. If we got like a Sam Darnold, Geno Smith type, and it's funny because they were both former Jets, but if we got a Sam Darnold or Geno Smith type resurgence, like how they did later in their careers, if we got something like that out of Fields, that's great. Like the upside is awesome, great, wonderful. I don't expect it, but either way, like I said, I think that he's at least a competent like bridge quarterback. Like he'll at least make it kind of fun to watch, I think, on offense. So I'm not too upset about it. I will say, I mean, I live in Steelers country. I got several friends of mine that are Steelers fans. I got Dane, the one that you met when we went to the Steelers game. He messaged me the other day, and he's like, oh man, he's like, I wanted Fields. Like he wanted Fields. He did not want Russ. He did not. He said he still stands by it. I don't want washed Aaron Rodgers, is what he said. I said, whoa. I was like, well, who the hell do you want now at this point? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, you want Kirko Chains if he comes loose? He's like, oh, he's washed too. I'm like, well, damn, everybody's washed to you casual ass Steelers fan. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of Steelers fans really wanted him back. They liked Fields. They liked the little bit that they saw out of him. What was it, 5 or 6 games last year? So he, like I said, he could be fun to watch, and if he catches fire and he gets some confidence and he's flowing well with the system and him is, you know what I mean? Like Engstrand's setting him up for success. Never know, but like I said, guys, don't expect a Super Bowl in 2025. That's all I'm saying.
And he does catch fire at times, but he's inconsistent, especially out of the pocket. So there will be some, like you say, some exciting games, and there's going to be some that's like, what on earth is he doing? So that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and I did hear that the biggest knock on him, I think it was Blewett that said it, is that he can occasionally hold on to the ball too long. And I get that, but like it could be worse, man. He could chuck it way too soon, if you're gonna take some sacks.
we don't have a terrible offensive line now. At least, especially passing, like pass blocking. Um, so maybe it'll work out. I don't know.
It's funny, Dane, because you hear that, but then you also hear a lot of times he takes off and runs before he gets through his progressions, which, that's considered one of his weak points. But we'll see. He's hopefully still learning the game a little bit.
So it sounds like his progressions are run, sack, pass. We'll see, right? Hey, we'll see. My thing is like, I can't remember the last time we've had a big and athletic quarterback that wasn't Zach Wilson. Like, so like, hey, can we just pretend we drafted this kid in 2021? I don't know. But
Riddler, baby.
I was actually really high on Justin Fields going into that draft too. Fields and Zach Wilson were I actually, well, I don't want to say I liked him more than Trevor, but I had him like right up there. I liked all three of those guys, but
we'd have ruined him, Murph.
None of them. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Because part of the problem, and we preach this, I feel like every week at this point, but we refuse to draft a quarterback and let him sit for a year. Like I don't know what it is about this organization. They're just impatient as hell. I don't know, man. Is it the fans? Is it us? Because I know the fans are impatient, but like, are we affecting ownership to make these decisions? Like, what do you guys think about that? Like that.
You hear Woody likes to read social media. I don't know.
I think, sadly, I think his fear is that like we're gonna have Jaden Daniels and he's gonna sit for 2 years not on the field, and you're gonna waste all that free time with them. But like the detrimental impact you're putting on, like, realize the market you're in, Woody. Realize it, because like the damage is irreversible most of the time. I mean, look at Darnold, look at Zach Wilson. It takes more than hitting a beach and reading a book, Sulla. Okay. They got to get out of town for 18 months to 36 months before they even start making strides again. It's crazy. But just know your market, man. Like if he didn't read it on social media in the last year or so, he's got to know, man, whichever quarterback we draft in the first round ever again needs to sit for at least a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And confidence is such a huge thing for a young quarterback. Like, I really think it's huge. Like, it can make and break a quarterback's career because there's so many talented guys that are coming in the NFL. And unfortunately, I mean, the way it's set up, like bad teams draft highly talented quarterbacks because they're higher up in the draft, and they go to these bad teams, and the bad teams just so desperate to turn it around that they throw these guys into the mix, and they're just getting beat up back there, and then they lose their confidence and they never turn it around. There's guys that bust all the time, and I think that's part of it right there. I think if a guy sits for a year and he kind of gets used to the NFL speed, and maybe the team improves over that year and has another draft to improve and free agency, it's way better situation for a young guy.
Facts. And I'm sure we're gonna circle back. Sorry, Scott, let me fix your mic. All right, you're good. We'll circle back to Fields 100 times, I'm sure, but just to keep plugging along at the signings. So we brought in a corner from Baltimore named Brandon Stevens, and we gave him $12 million per. Not a good 2024 out of that kid. And we can go as deep as the chat wants us to go on these signings. I don't know, if everybody's heard it all talked to death, or if they need the Danger Zone spin on the Brandon Stevens signing, but we can definitely hit that. We also signed Andre Cisco. I like that kid. And I know the chats are down there. Abby Fresh, she's already on it. I think that's a signing to watch. That's 2 immediate day one signings from Aaron Glenn, the very first of his era in the secondary. His secondary, he targeted these guys, but yet we are all still, as a fan base, questioning the moves. What do you guys think about the 2 additions to the secondary from Glenn?
I will say that like I'm not crazy about the Brandon Stevens signing like most people. Um, the money we gave him, I feel like there's a better corner out there that you could have got for that money or less. Um, if they're if they're trying to hit on a guy that's still relatively young, um, and they think that they can, develop him and stuff like that. Like I'm not going to sit here and tell like a guy that knows defense, especially a secondary, that he can't develop a guy because we've seen, bad signings and Sala make something out of it. Like we still maybe even that player wasn't necessarily great, but the defense as a whole still played good altogether. Like with Sala, even with some very questionable signings. So I can't say that it's going to be a bad thing because like Aaron Glenn might figure it out and figure out how to use them and and mask his weaknesses. Jamar Chase. uh, which by the way is a weakness to damn near every cornerback. So yeah, I'm not crazy about the Brandon Stevens signing, but he is a CB2. It'd be one thing if he was our like top guy. If we didn't have Sauce and that was our dude right there, I would be very worried. But I'm going to trust that they can make something out of him. If not, it's only 3 years. Probably get out of it after 2. Every deal nowadays and free agency deals are all one year less than what it really is. And if the player's really performing well, then they'll work the full contract. The Andre Cisco signing, I'm actually happy about. That was a guy I had my eye on. For one, safety was a big thing for me for free agency. I wanted us to get a safety, like somebody like actually good. I think Cisco, although he can be inconsistent, I think in like Aaron Glenn's defense, I think he can really make something out of this kid. I actually like that signing a lot. The thing I hate about it the most is only 1 year. So if Aaron Glenn does know how to use the kid and he goes off this year, are we just gonna let him walk next year now? Like that's the one thing that bothered me about this signing. Otherwise, I do like bringing a guy back there that can ball hawk and he can hit. Those are 2 things I like to see out of my safeties. So I don't know. I think Glenn is building his secondary the way he wants to. We'll see how it works out. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say about that.
Scott, what do you think? Stevens and Cisco on day one.
I like the Cisco more, and the 1 year that might tell you that the Jets think they're going to draft a safety this year too. If who knows? Stevens, I know you posted some pretty alarming stats on him. And I did, and I don't know much about him. I'm not going to act like I've studied him, but I did hear someone talking about him saying that the defense they were running in Baltimore didn't fit him, and what they're going to run in New York is going to fit him a lot better. And they might know that, and none of us might be aware, and it could end up being a way better deal than we think. 12 mil? Yeah, but is that what it took?
12 mil. It took 23 guaranteed, man. And a lot of people are like, well, damn, DJ Reed only made a few more million. Well, Honestly, I think DJ Reed took a sweet deal to get to a winner, to be honest, because there's no way you're telling me that Carlton Davis is worth $3 more million a year than DJ Reed. So let's not compare Brandon Stevens to DJ Reed, who took a discount to go to a fucking winner, a team that won more games than we have in the last 3 years combined. Like, get out of here, man. But I heard the same thing, Scott, man. I heard that they had him play in zone and he's a press man corner. And when he has his hands on someone in a phone booth, he's a dog. So
yeah, so get him and Sauce both doing that. I mean, seems like the world we want to be in.
damn straight.
So.
Maybe 12's a lot if you're not planning on using him that way, but I'm sure there's some teams out there that would have took him to be a press man corner, and maybe they would have paid him 12. I don't know.
You know, you hear Baltimore fans are celebrating he's gone, which, hey, if they weren't using him right, but you know, fans don't know as much as they think they do. Let's be honest. Sorry if I'm insulting anybody in the chat, but you know, we're not paid to watch 12 hours of tape a day, scout, you know, all that stuff. They think the Jets, he will work in their defense. So
yeah, see, and that's the thing. Like, this was day one. These are the second and third moves you've made. Like, you had to target them specifically. So, like, give them a
except for Clancy. Let me
Clancy.
get that. He knows. Clancy knows.
Hey, I will say that I think that if we were the ones drafting for the Jets over the past however many years, and you guys, a lot of you guys probably follow Green Bean. He says this stuff all the time, and I agree with it. I think that if we were the ones doing the draft, we would probably hit more often than they do. Like, I don't know why, but it's just like some players you look at and you're like, that's a guy. And they just ignore him. Like, and the guy will even fall a round or two later than we all expect him to, and they still won't take him. And then the team that does take him, he ends up becoming a damn star for. Like, it's crazy. So you're right, though, Scott. We're not the ones watching the film. We're not the ones scheming these things. It could be up to scheme. One thing I will say is the kid started at cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens, who were a 13-win team last year.
Yeah.
But they seem to know what the hell they're doing for the most part. So
yeah, and you're right, and you know, we all would have taken Wirfs over Becton.
I wanted CD Lamb.
Well, there's that too.
But back to the signings, Stevens and Cisco both drafted in the third round. I mean, that's day 2 of the draft. They're athletic as hell. Cisco was taken pick number 1 of the third round, so a top 70 pick, not bad. And then also Cisco has 7-8 picks the last couple years, not bad. Kirby Joseph was in a similar spot when Aaron Glenn took a hold of him. He had 8 picks in a couple years. Last year, 9 picks in 1 year. So who knows? We only got the kid for 1 year, but maybe it leads to a longer deal. You never know.
That's something I wanted to bring up. Like, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on. Out of all these signings that we have in free agency, how many are multi-year? Is it 2? Is it just Fields and whoa? I didn't know that one did that. Anyway,
Murph.
How many did you say? Say it again. How many?
See, there it goes. All right, yeah, but I think it was just two deals. So it's Brandon Stevens and Justin Fields, and Fields is only on a 2-year contract. So it's like, I don't know exactly what their approach is. Are they just trying to fill the holes for now? Are they relying more heavily on the draft to get the talent on the team, and they're just building depth? What is your guys' opinion on that?
Is that a Woody thing? Because they did the same thing last year. A lot of 1-year deals to free agents.
I think that was a all-in hot seat type year. I think that's what that was about
Mm,
last year. This
yeah.
year it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because like it's a brand new regime. Like I don't know.
Maybe they're too focused on eating all this dead money. I mean, we're paying 4.5 million this year for Kinlaw.
Well, I'm glad they're not trying to make these great big splashes in free agency. Um, I feel like they kind of need to walk before they run, and I imagine they'll be more in next off season.
And is it the money that you call a splash, or is it, well, not you, but like the general fan? Do they call the money the splash, or do they call a splash move when it's a household name that they recognize?
Well, don't those go hand in hand? I mean, that's you know, to me, what's going on. All those early signings, the name guys get pretty crazy contracts. Um, so I'm just glad they're kind of building from the ground up. We Jets have some of the top level guys already. Um, but I think you're right, Dan. They're trying to kill some of that dead money. And I don't think, despite what some say, I don't think there's big expectations inside the organization this year. They will never say that. And they will try to win every game. But if they were being honest, I don't think they would tell us, we think we can make the playoffs. But we'll see.
Hey, if you're in the chat, man, hit that like button. We're glad to have you. Getting a lot of views right now from Twitter. If you're over there, come to YouTube, hit the like. But if not, just keep watching over there, man, because we love having you. And if you chat on Twitter, it comes here and we can put it on screen. So just know that. Um, but Harlan in the chat says that JD signed a lot of players to 1 year prove it deals. If they did well, we kept them. If they didn't, he didn't resign them. Um, but yeah, a lot of people will say we're not just eating dead money because look, Rodgers is going to be 35 million dead next year. So like this problem isn't going away, but it's just Rodgers next year. This year, like I said, it's Kinlaw and it's Rodgers and it's a million people. Yeah, yeah. So we'll get there. And also they just got there, man. Maybe they're waiting for the comp formula window to close, or maybe I don't know, man. Maybe they're going to extend some guys. Maybe they're going to all I'm saying is don't make up your mind yet. There is 6 freaking months until week 1.
A lot of off season left.
Also, I'm gonna be the pessimist here. Don't get your hopes up either, guys. Like I don't think that we're going to be making a lot of splashes in free agency. It this year, from what they've done so far, it's validating my opinion on it. I think that they're just cleaning the books up this year. They brought in a quarterback that with some upside, but he could just be like a bridge guy that might end up sucking, but it doesn't really matter this year because we're just cleaning the books up. We're not investing a ton of money into free agents, getting rid of the dead money, hoping that next year we can get the exact guys that we want in here with already having one draft under a belt, get another draft under a belt, maybe find the right quarterback, and then that's when they're going to really invest into the team and try to build the type of team that they want. But right now, it's just clean the books up, install your culture, be as competitive as you can this year with lesser talent, whatever. I think that's what they're doing this year. I don't think that they have any high plans for it. But like you said, Scott, they'll never say that on camera.
Nope.
You know, because they still have to sell the tickets. So I think that we're just taking this year and hoping that we're a little competitive and build the culture.
Murph, like you say, they're going to eat their vegetables this year.
The problem though is like we all knew this on Thanksgiving and we all knew this on Christmas after we won 3 games by Christmas. Like we knew this. And we knew that 2025, dude, me and Scott did a show where it was called, Is 2025 Washed Already? Like, it was going to take time. The problem is we got Aaron Glenn and we got hype. And then we got $22 million back free. It's like the stimulus package. You know, we got free money. We got hype.
Yeah.
Dude. And then we signed Sherwood and we were like, oh, fuck, let's go. Let's get some blue chippers in free agency. And then nothing happened. And now, like, people are pouting. But, like, let's go back to that mentality of 2025 is going to be a foundation building year, that it's not going to be sparkly and shiny. Shout out James Woody. He's the man. It's going to take time. It's a new regime. And guess what? Maybe we should let it this time, because being impatient before has not yielded good results.
So Dane, if they draft Jackson Dart at 7, does that kind of change things for you?
Hold on. Let me look up the nearest bridge.
I'm sure Red has a window you can jump out of.
Dude, you know me, I want to acquire capital. I don't want to to me, that would be that would be wasting capital. I want to get more. I want to slide, or, whatever. But that's a whole nother show, man. But no, I would not be happy with Dart at 7.
Panel right here is pro sliding. We want to slide down in the draft, like I'm trying to slide into this girl's DMs right now. So I think that unless for whatever reason Cam Ward drops out of the top 3 spots or something like that, you're not looking at quarterback this year. I mean, if you want to go get a guy in the 4th or 5th, whatever, if you want to snatch up a Will Howard or something and take a shot, okay. But like, as far as like any higher caliber quarterbacks, like we're probably not going to trade up. And like I said, unless it's Cam Ward, he seems to be consensus top guy. Jackson Dart, if he gets drafted at 7, somebody's reaching for him. Like, I know there's a lot of guys out there that love Jackson Dart, but like, he wasn't considered a top 10 pick 2 months ago. The college season was done 2 months ago, and he still wasn't considered a top 10 pick. So I think we need to slow down on the hype machine with him a little bit. The best move, unless like your guy is there, like unless I don't know if we're big fans of Mason Graham or whoever it may be, unless your guy's there, the best move is to slide back, gain capital. We're not going to be a Super Bowl competitor this year, so why not build up that capital, man?
I agree. Slide back. Easier said than done, though.
Right.
But we'll see.
Shout out Boba, man. Good to have you, man. I remember when you called into us. I think it was last summer, man. That was sweet. It's a memorable call if I'm still remembering it a year later. Speaking of which, man, just some programming notes. Next month, we hit 1 year on this channel. Smack the like button. On 4/21, which is like right after Easter, so right before the draft, in that little pocket. So we'll have to do something, but we just hit 23,000 views, which is about 25 times more than I thought we'd ever get. So that was pretty cool. We're going on a year and we're getting near 25K views. Pretty cool stuff. And couldn't do it without the chat down there, or you two. You two are both here when I need you, which is pretty often. So appreciate you.
4/21, you said? That was the...
Yes.
Okay. Well, a day after Clancy's favorite holiday.
Facts. Woody still down there in the chat. Appreciate you. The chat's going strong, man. We have 20 people down in the chat popping. We have 126 that already poked their heads in from Twitter. 126 from Twitter is more than I've had in like 3 months combined. So appreciate you guys out there. Let me get into, I'm just going to, so we made like 8 more signings. I'm just going to rattle them off. And if I need to dig deeper into 1 or 2 of them, we can. And you'll notice, chat, that I'm wearing who could be our TE1 next year, but probably won't be. Who is our tight end 1 right now while I look at this list? Who's our tight end 1, guys?
We don't know. We don't know. There's no way it's the 2 that's on the depth chart. That's the one thing I wanted to get into. I know you want to rattle things, but
no, go ahead.
I'm just going to bring up the one name, Stone Smart. We signed Stone Smart. Okay. Was that another 1-year deal? Okay. A guy that kind of, he made a little bit of a splash last season towards the end of the season. Relatively unknown before that. Talented, at least in a receiver aspect. Maybe not the best blocker. From what I'm hearing, I'm not going to tell you guys that I've been here watching film on the guy and stuff like that. I'm working 12 hours a day at this point. I can't do that. But so we signed him, likely tight end 2, tight end 3. I don't know. Depends on how they feel about Ruckert. He's the only other tight end that I know of that's on the roster, at least the only tight end worth mentioning. Kenny Yeboah just signed to the Lions earlier.
Really?
Yeah, that was not that long ago. I saw that. So we just got those 2 guys. Neither of them are tight end 1 worthy at this point. Ruckert has not proven it. As much as we love the Long Island kid and the story, and like his dad's a badass and he's stone cold in beers and everything, like that's awesome. But that doesn't mean he's a good football player, guys. Like he has not proven it yet. He's shown some things here or there. He's got all the physical traits and maybe even the mentality. He likes to, hit people and block them and things like that, but it's just not really showing up on the tape quite that well. Who's going to be our tight end 1? Are we rolling with these guys? And is Stone Smart a better option than Kenny Yeboah was? Because I actually kind of like what I saw when Kenny Yeboah was out on the field. So I don't know. I just kind of want to get your guys' opinion on the tight end room. They can't be done with it, in my opinion. What do you got?
They better not be. And I'll be disappointed if Ruckert is on the team unless they just don't bring in anybody. How much you need to see out of the guy?
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna convert Lazard into tight end 1.
No. I don't want him. I don't want him as my field goal holder. I don't want him as the water boy. Even he dropped the fucking water bottles. Like I don't want Lazard. I want no part of him.
I'd like to see a kicker try to kick out of him bobbling the ball. That'd be
so. You'd rather take your chances on Stone Smart than go with Lazard and just have stone hands.
Yes. Yes, because that is one thing. If you dive into it, and Dane, I know you posted something earlier. I only got to briefly overlook it, but Stone Smart does have good hands. He does not have stone hands. Like he is a receiving type tight end, and maybe he'll even work a little out of the slot. So and I don't think that's a bad signing. I don't, but I do think that we need a guy. We need a bona fide guy. Our guy Woody in the chat mentioned it earlier. Goddard. What do you guys think about maybe trading for Goddard? 4th or 5th round, maybe?
Scott, go ahead and take that first.
As a player, I'd love to have him on the team. His value as far as a draft pick, I guess I'd be okay with a 4th round pick. No higher than that.
No higher than that, sure.
But he's a good player.
The thing I like about Goddard the most is the guy shows up when it counts. Like in the playoffs, big moments of big games, he might be quiet all game or whatever. But if you're driving in the fourth quarter to get that last touchdown to win the game, like he's gonna get two catches for 37 yards or so, like, and maybe even get the touchdown, or like he's always shows up when you need him the most, and that's something I like about him. So I wouldn't be mad at a fourth or a fifth for him, but
Here, here's my thing with Goddard, and here's what I don't want. Okay, let me just start there. What I don't want is our brand new wet behind the ears GM on the phone using our picks and talking to Howie fucking Roseman, man. That scares, dude. That scares me to fucking death, man. Because like, dude got one over on Joe Douglas. So what is he gonna? He's gonna own. Howie Roseman is gonna own the Jets by the time they're done with that phone call. Okay. But also like, so I'm looking and I might have lag because I have over the cap on another tab. So bear with me 1 second. Dallas Goedert, 12 million on the cap this year. 12 million, not bad. After this year, there's 4 void years and a total of 23 million in dead. So if I'm given a fourth, is Roseman paying all of that?
Well, here's the other thing. It's a strong tight end draft. And they might be able to get someone in the 4th round who could contribute, costs a lot less, and is younger. I mean, they might be able to get the tight end from Oregon in the 4th round. So after thinking more about it, I probably wouldn't make that trade.
Yeah, that's an option too. You're absolutely right. Everything we hear from the guys that really know what they're talking about when the draft, like the Dom Sieves of the world and stuff, they tell you, man, this draft for tight ends is excellent. Why not? I mean, I wouldn't be against, dude. You want to bring at this point. The more I think about it, the more I'm warming up to Tyler Warren. Like it seems like that's where they're going with it. Like it's Warren, Tet, maybe Mason Graham. I don't know. They could be holding out, hoping that Warren drops to them, or maybe maybe they think, hey, we got 2 like half competent tight end twos. We're gonna just ride it into the draft, and we'll get a guy in the draft in the mid to like the middle rounds or something like that. Like you said, the tight end from Oregon, I can't remember his name. Is it McDonald? I don't know.
No,
Yeah, I can't
It's
remember his name.
it's Turd Ferguson or Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, that guy. Anyway, maybe they go that route and hope that he's going to end up becoming a stud, even though he's not like a first round guy. Because you don't just because somebody's not drafted in the first round. I mean, look at the tight end that the Lions have, right? Laporta, like he was a second round guy, So it doesn't mean that you're not going to hit. They may be taking that approach. I just know that I'm worried up until that point. So if I got to wait till draft time to see my tight end 1, I'm gonna be a little concerned about it. Right now, the way the room sits, it's not looking good.
Yeah, I don't want to see Record anymore. I don't want to see Gibson anymore. I don't want to see Lazard anymore. Not even anybody off the list. Clemens, yeah.
Gibson.
He said Gibson.
I said
Okay.
that one.
Greg Zuerlein.
On the offensive side of the ball.
Zuerlein.
Oh, hey, we signed a punter, guys.
Well, someone said it. We got 2 punters and 1 receiver.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I don't know. That's something I never understand about. It's not just our current GM, but we've seen GMs do this stuff for years, and it's like me, you, Dane, like we see it, like we see the holes on the team. We see like, okay, we need 2 receivers, we need 1 defensive tackle, we need one cornerback. We need two safeties. We see the holes and we're like, okay, so these are the positions that you need to like plug. You need to at least have a body there, if nothing else. And then they do they do stuff like this. They sign a second punter before they even get another receiver in the building. Like, even if they just sign a depth guy at receiver, it would make me feel a little better. Just having a body in there, and then you hope you hit on a guy in the draft or something like that. But like, I never understand that. We're going to worry about signing McNamara or whatever the hell his name is at punter when we have a very solid punter as it is.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting with like Garrett Wilson and 3 dust bales that went across the road in Kansas. I don't.
Tim Patrick re-signed with Detroit, and of course, a lot of people were tying him to the Jets.
Yeah.
We should have tied him with the Jets. Just tie his ass up. Because right now I'm about to look for some cleats in here, man, and I'm gonna walk on. Yeah. Here, you know what we need though is we need Corley to do something, man.
Yeah.
Like you can't just be a bum. I'm sorry. There is no room for a Devin Smith or a Denzel Mims or a ... on this squad, man. If you've been picked in the last 18 months, you're contributing something under Glenn, or else I don't know, man.
He'll be gone. If he's a bum under the new staff, he'll be gone. They didn't draft him.
Yeah, and I just hope that this staff doesn't do what the last staff did. That was one of the biggest problems I had with the last coaching staff is, you draft a guy and you bring him in and you draft him relatively high. If he's in the top 100, he needs to contribute somewhere, right? Like, I'm not saying he has to get starter level snaps, but like come in the game here and there to make something. I don't understand why they always did that. Dude, they did it with you named Denzel Mims, right? And they're doing it with Corley, and I just don't understand that. If this new regime does anything, at least utilize the fucking talent that's on the team, okay? That's my big thing. Just utilize the talent on the team. If they're not talented enough to be a starter or at least get snaps on the team, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Why are they sitting there? Well, they're wasting the roster spot. Like, they're wasting the money.
Well, the other thing is, like, we have a brand new special teams coaching staff. So, like, some of these signings that people are going bonkers over, they may not even be for the defense. They may not even be for the offense. They might be for special teams. So, if you see a guy that gets brought in for vet minimum, just chill, man, because Brant Boyer's gone. And we are going to have a lot of turnover on special teams, too. And some of these acquisitions might be that might be the vision. That's all. And Daniel, you're right, man. Get everything you can about out of the talent that's already here. And I assume that Glenn knows the talent because he fucking picked us, man. He picked us. I assume there's no way he came here not knowing some Corley. There's no way he didn't fully flesh out whether that kid can be made out of something or not.
Well, and they all looked at scouted these guys when they were in college. So Muji has a good idea about him already. Whether or not they liked him, we don't know. Guess we'll find out.
And that's my thing, though. At least find out. At least give him he's already on the team. Give him a chance. This year, based on the signings so far, they're not shooting for a fucking Super Bowl this year. At least play these young players, find out what you have. If you don't have anything, get rid of them and get your own guys in here. Like, that's all I gotta say about that. Like,
well, and they're doing that, right? I mean, they've cut bait on some guys for sure. So
so Jesus Jerry, friend of the channel, he also called in last summer, and that was a hell of a call. He suggests, why don't we just get Juszczyk and run it 40 times, which I want to run it 40 times with or without use check. But what do you think of this idea? And I think use check was visiting with the Steelers.
Yeah.
If he walks away, are you pursuing him?
Here's my question about him. The 49ers, who want to run the ball, why are they letting him get out of the building?
The 49ers are letting everybody get out of the building right
They
now.
are. They're off
To
season.
be fair,
Terrible.
they're letting everybody out. I saw a stat earlier, and I'm not going to try to quote it, but like the amount of money that they just let go out of the building is the most in the league, and it's like astronomical. I think it was like 237 million.
I saw this one, Murph. The guys that have free agents, 49er free agents that have signed other places so far this year have made $281 million. That's how much has been paid to those guys.
They lead the league in that. They're letting everybody out of the building right now. So the thing about Juszczyk is he's getting a little long in the tooth.
Yep.
That doesn't mean he's not still productive. I've seen fullbacks play into their 30s and play good ball. I think he would be an asset, but I'm not paying a fullback like top money. You know, we're not going to pay him $10 million a year or something like that. Like, if he wants to come on for $5 million a year or something for a couple years, hell yeah. But he's a fullback. We're not going to pay him top money.
Yeah. What? See, they don't play enough. But you know who my top choice is for our fullback?
A tight end, probably.
Tyler Warren.
Well, hey, fullbacks are kind of a thing of the past.
I was going to say Mekhi Becton, but
I mean, look, so a lot of people are thinking we're going to have a similar offense to the Lions, right? Which I kind of don't see the quarterback comparison there. But do they have a fullback? Seem like they're running single backs most of the time, right?
True. I think they're deducing that because that was one of the very first acquisitions when they set in the door. They gave a future contract to some fullback, so that's what they're thinking. But guess what? They're also thinking that Aaron Glenn would go out and sign 8 of his former proteges in free agency, and guess how many we've had signed? Big fat 0. So how much accuracy has our dot connecting really done?
Not much so far.
No.
That's something that drives me crazy, man. They always say, "Oh, they're going to sign like 5 or 6 players from the team that their previous coach came from," and that rarely. I mean, if they do, it's usually depth guys. Like, they don't ever sign anyone significant. So I don't take that into consideration at all whenever I see those reports.
You know who was good at that? And I don't know what it means, but Rex, man, he did that. But dude, that's been 15 years ago. Like, and I think I hope Glenn's system is a little more malleable than to require guys that have been in it already once before. Like, come on,
Yeah, Rex just kind of did his own thing anyway. Like if there's a certain way of doing things, this is the way that Rex was doing it. Like, he just did his own thing. Yeah. And I kind of miss that, just
but
do what you think makes sense. Just do it, But
back to Jerry's, I do want to go back to that. He said, run with or without use check, run the ball 40 times. How accurate a depiction do you think that is with our 2025 roster vision? I mean, it seems could be close.
So are you asking, do I think that's what they're aiming for, is like a very heavy run? Yeah. I think so. I think right now what they're looking at is because they're not planning on winning a Super Bowl, so they're probably just going to try to pound the rock and be competitive this year, play good defense. It'll be heavy run, heavy play action. I think that's exactly the type of offense they're going to try to install this year, and it makes sense.
Scott, what do you think? Are we going to be throwing it 40 times this year a game?
No, no way.
Well,
It
I
it
mean,
is
we signed Stone Smart, you know.
well. Um, maybe if Tyrod is the quarterback, but no, they're gonna obviously they're gonna want to be a run first team, play good defense. Um, doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you got to chuck it. You fall behind. You got to throw it. So we'll see.
Dane, do you started to do this earlier, and before we get into the call ins and so on and so forth, you want to rattle off the names, and maybe me and Scott can throw out some opinions on the leftover guys. We already did Stone Smart, but beyond
Yeah.
that,
So, a guy we know, Isaiah Oliver, we brought him back. And I think that goes back to what I said before, man, special teams, right? Uh, but going chronologically, after we got Cisco, we got Rashad Weaver, an edge rusher, who showed flashes. And I have the whole pull out of him. If we need more info, just request it. I got it. Weaver, we retained Oliver. We went and got a depth tackle by the name of Chew Okorafor. No, I didn't say Core 4. That's a whole nother show we do. Okorafor. Staying with the O line, we got Josh Myers, a depth center that may or may not force our core players on the O line out of their spots. We can get into that. Linebacker Yamin Davis, we brought back, who coincidentally enough was drafted 19th overall in the 2021 draft, which, whatever, make it up. The Commanders took him. Not bad. Stone Smart, DT, two of them. Jay Tufele or Tufele, and a name Jet fans ought to know, Cowart Byron, though not Sam.
I'll make it quick, Murph. I'm just going to group them all together and say, meh.
I think you're being optimistic with the meh. Um, who the fuck are these? It's the freaking oh my god, it's the meme. Who the fuck is that guy? Like that's exactly every time I saw one of those names, I'm like the only one I knew was Jermaine Davis. Maybe it's Yamin. I don't. That's the first time I heard it pronounced that way, but you might be right. I remember him from that draft. I remember there was a lot of guys that were heavy, like they were high on him. I didn't think that he was like mid first round caliber. I thought he was like a second rounder, but I did think there was some potential there. I'm not super upset over that. But it's very likely. I mean, we have our two starting linebackers, and everybody runs nickel nowadays more than anything. So is he really going to be a contributor? Probably not. I think Myers is half decent as a depth piece, but the only problem is he's only played center. You know, is or is he going to be an interior guy just in general, or is he just going to be a center, backup center? And then if he is a backup center and you have a guard go down, does that mean you're going to maybe move Titman over to guard, bring Myers in as center because he's experienced? I don't know. That seems like a hell of a conclusion to jump to. You hate moving guys around, especially whenever they're getting some chemistry. We had bringing back four of the five guys in the same exact spots, getting some chemistry. Our line wasn't horrible towards the end of last year, so I don't know. yeah, these signings are all very underwhelming. Let's be honest, but they're depth signings. I mean, that's what they are.
Hey, we need 90 guys, right? And we
Yeah.
want guys like Clemens the hell out of here. You can't get 90 starters, right? And I think all those names I listed, I don't think they cost more than 10 or 12 million combined.
No.
But Okorafor, 59 starts to his name in Pittsburgh, which, yeah, whatever. But I think Pittsburgh would have thrown his ass off the Three Rivers Bridge after 30 starts if he was real bad. So the fact that he lasted 59 starts in Pittsburgh tells me a tiny bit. And the other guy,
To be fair, Pittsburgh's offensive line was not very good
true.
up until like last year. Last year they weren't even great, but they were like I think middle of the pack. They finally got some guys in there that were half decent, but they were starting. Even I can't believe he got paid as much as he did, but like Dan Moore was like their starting tackle for a while. He's not very good, guys. I don't know how he got paid as much as he did, but whatever. Their offensive line was pretty brutal for like a good 2 or 3 year stretch a couple years ago. So I'm not putting much into the whole fact that he started 59 starts for the Steelers or whatever it may have been.
Well, here's the question. Do you want him with 59 starts, or do you want Max Mitchell with like 15 starts? Like that's the question. They're going to compete and we'll probably keep one. Myers with like 50 starts in Green Bay. Do you want him at center or do you want Xavier Newman? They're going to compete. One man wins kind of I think that's the vision. Scott, what do you think?
Well, back to Myers, I think he's just a depth piece. I've heard quite a few people already thinking, oh, they're going to move Tippmann to guard. And there's a reason Myers got, once again, a 1-year deal, what, $3 million, 3 point something. No one else in the league wanted him. Green Bay didn't want him. He's a depth piece. Now
It came out as 1 year, 3.5, but over the cap dropped it today, and it was 1 year, 2 mil even.
So I don't think there's really any thought of him being a starter at this point.
Do you want him or Wes Schweitzer?
Didn't I see Schweitzer was gone?
He went to New England. That's what I mean. Like, if you throw Myers and Schweitzer and Newman in a pot, I don't think we picked the third best out of the three.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want any of them to start. Is that what we're talking about here? Okay.
No, we're talking depth.
Yeah, I'm fine with him.
Newman's not that bad. You know, I'm a Newman guy. I'm on that bandwagon. I think as a depth piece, I think he's actually very solid. Schweitzer, I wasn't crazy about, but the guy has versatility: left guard, right guard, center, whatever. That's just the thing that worries me about the Myers thing is like he literally just center all his, at least his pro career.
Yeah.
No, but it's like you said, Dane. They're bringing in these guys to compete with our depth because they don't know if our depth is up to their particular standard, I guess. They're bringing in guys that are their guys, that, not to say that they're going to get rid of the guys that are already in there, but they're going to have them compete and they're going to see, whether they like the guys that are already in the building or not.
And Murph, he snapped to Fields.
That's true. That's true. A little continuity there. Does that mean QB2? Is he going to be snapping to him on the second team?
We buried the lead with that one. You're damn right, Scott. That is exactly why Tippmann has to get his ass away from the ball. Joe Yipman is done snapping balls in Gotham. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Joe Yipman, man. You remember that?
Yeah.
He got over that, right?
Yeah. All right. I'll be right back, fellas.
All right.
Scott, I did throw the link down. If anybody, like, I know there's a specific like, who do we get or who do we not get? Someone hop up, tell us, hey, we should trade for Olave. You can give us 30, call and give us 30 seconds of your time if you want, and we can discuss what you want to talk about. It's up to you guys, but otherwise, just chill in the chat. We probably got maybe another hour in us, spitting ball. What about you? Like, we're talking Jet signings. Is there someone that signed that you feel like we should have got? Is there someone maybe that's still out there that you want?
Well, I think the free agent we signed that I really wanted to sign was Sherwood. I mean, he was a free agent. So I'm glad we got that done. Excuse me. But no, I think I've told you I like their approach of not going too crazy this offseason with the free agent signings.
So what if we don't make the playoffs this year? Like, what?
That's I don't care about the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. But
where do you draw? Okay, so here my thing is, I could give a F about the drought of 14 years. I want whatever path gets me to a Super Bowl berth first. I don't want to just like splurge and get good enough to be one and done. I want the fortified, smart build that gives me a berth every year and a chance to do more than that. But like, there are other people where like, we have dollars left. Why haven't we spent them? Improve the team. Like, basically F the future kind of thing. Let's end the drought. Where do you draw that line in your own mind where it's like, yeah, we could get better, but that's going to screw us later?
Well, I think you gotta build to make the playoff. I mean, first things first. Of course, the ultimate goal is to win the championship. But I would be happy with a playoff run. And that just, that might, hey, maybe you make the playoffs and you're competitive and the jet tax disappears. Or, you just become a more attractive place and you have
Great point.
more confidence, better attitude. I'm a firm believer in one step at a time. So Super Bowl, nowhere in my mind right now. Of course, love to get there. Let's get a team that can get to the playoffs, maybe make some noise, and then just keep growing from there.
But you wouldn't like splurge to get better now and have all these void ass years. Like,
right. No, right. I wouldn't sacrifice the future to go 10-7 and maybe win a playoff game. I don't think that's necessary. But I'm not thinking. I heard people say, even last year, if we go to the playoffs and only lose and only win one playoff game, that's a failure. I never looked at it that way. How great would it have been to go to the playoffs and win a game? I mean, just nuts. But I'm not one to ever think that a year is a failure if you don't win the championship. Because
fair.
One team does that.
The only, I'm with you 100%. The only place I draw the line is when you are borrowing from future to get there now. But like Houston, for instance, they just made the playoff. Dude, they were what, one and done? They got waxed by the Chargers, I think, if I'm remembering.
They beat
No,
the
did they?
and then lost.
Okay.
Then
Let
they
me
had a tough game against Kansas City. Pretty close game.
let me flip that then. If you're a Chargers, are you sad? Like, you're happy with that? You made it. You didn't make it far, but you made it.
They won 5 games the year before.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Okay. And they did
won
not.
5 games. They sent some of their veterans packing. And they made the playoffs. And let's not forget, they were kind of dominating that playoff game for a while. And then there was that weird play that happened, and they went in the tank. But me, as a fan, I'd be happy. I got to believe they were disappointed they lost that playoff game, but what a great turnaround.
And that's the key. Like, I love they actually made their future better and made the playoffs. Like, that is the vision. You want, like, do what you can to make the playoffs now, but if it's going to make it harder to sustain that later, I don't even want it. But it's not off.
I mean, 49ers are dealing with that now. That's why they're cutting money and players like crazy. The Jets did that. So I'm sure if we really wanted to go through the last few seasons, we could see several teams that did that. But yeah, I want to make a playoff, and I'm not disappointed if they go and lose in the first round. Now,
yeah,
you might be disappointed for the game on an individual basis, but
yeah.
I mean, well, shoot, how often do you hear someone say, "We just want to be relevant at Christmas time," or but
that's the thing. Like, the only glimmer of not being disappointed for us has been like September. The last 5 years, we had a little hope in September, but the other 11 months, not good, man. What I'm driving at, though, is like, you see a team, and this is probably a bad example because they won the Super Bowl, but they mortgaged their future so much, the Eagles, that they actually cut a deal this week, 1 year, $1.9 million, and their future finances are so royally effed that they had to do 4 void years on a $1.9 million deal. That is something I don't want, unless you get lucky. Like they won it all, and like, they don't get me wrong, it's the drafting they've done that got them there. But like, I'm not willing to gamble like they did and just throw the next 5 years into the pot just to make one run. I want sustained success. Thoughts on this, though? This is an insane contract.
that is hilarious. But of all the teams, who do you have faith that could get in perceived financial difficulties and find their way out of it? And that's why they're trying to trade Goddard, right? They're trying to trade Art Huff now already. But who can pull it off? Probably that damn Howie.
Yeah, and they have that guy that I'm sure that was Alec Halaby or whatever. I'm sure he does a good job with the cap and stuff too.
See the
And
money.
one thing I'll say, like, that's crazy. Like, if you think about it, it's only 1.25 million guaranteed over 4 years. There's probably people in the chat that make that much money. Like, that's crazy. Like,
yeah.
And Uche's not a bad player. Like that, he can produce like Sweat did. I think. I think Uche can step in and I don't want to say replace Sweat, but he can bring some similar production. Um, I understand that. Yeah, I know the Eagles definitely, throughout the draft they've killed it, and that's probably a big part of their success. And that's how you should build a team is through the draft. But hitting in free agency really helps too, because I mean, Scott, tell me, do you think the Eagles win the Super Bowl if they didn't have Saquon Barkley this past year?
um, probably not, but potentially they could have, and they have a good team. Their defense
No,
was that
two
number one
thousand yards
defense.
throughout the year.
I know, but so let's see, maybe they I don't know who else was a free agent running back last year, but they did go to the Super Bowl just a couple years ago with who was their running back. He made it easier, Murph, no doubt, no doubt. But that's a good football team.
Yeah.
What I will say,
Could they have won it with Aaron Jones, for example? He's no Saquon, but
No, I haven't seen Aaron Jones doing any crazy backwards hurdles or
well,
anything.
like I said, he's no
Break
Saquon.
tackles and things like that. That can be a difference maker in a game. I'm not saying that like in the Super Bowl he wasn't really that relevant, you know.
Yeah,
But he's a big reason as to why they got there is kind of where I'm getting at.
for sure.
'Cause early in the playoffs he was killing it too. So I just think that it's all a big mixing pot. I think the draft is the base in your cauldron, right? The draft is your base, but I think that you're just going to have some like very lightly flavored water if you don't sprinkle in a little free agency or a little bit of undrafted free agents. Like you got to hit on those things too, trades even.
Yeah, but they've drafted extremely well, of course. So
well, my big thing with them is like, what I'm trying to say is how he's going to have to continue getting creative, because if you take all their players on the roster now and you add up their AAV, it's 400 million AAV. The cap is 280. And they're like, so the only way that they're under the cap right now is because they backloaded all these deals. The Piper's coming, man. I don't know. Maybe I mean, he already is smarter than all of us, but like that shoe's going to drop, man. That's all I'm saying.
No,
Anyways,
now,
good.
hold on, real quick. We've been saying that about the Saints for a freaking decade now, and somehow they're still making free agency signings and stuff.
True.
It blows my mind. So they're probably just going to be the new Saints, except they actually
True.
win Super Bowls.
We got into all the signings. I think we about wrung that rag out as much as we can. We owe it though to the few good players that we did have on this roster to at least tip the cap to them. The first guy, man, DJ Reed, he left, man. He got himself a bag on a contender. Thoughts on that? Excuse me. Thoughts on that?
good for him. I would have liked him to stay, but good for him,
I I don't know. I mean, he gave us a couple good years. Last year, I don't think he played very well at all. I have seen there's a particular. I'm not going to throw any shade, but there is a particular YouTube, and not a Jets creator, but a guy that's very heavily in the NFL YouTube content that says that he had a better year last year than Sauce, and I disagree entirely. I don't think he did. Uh, if you asked me 4 or 5 weeks into the season, I'd have been like, oh yeah, but throughout the course of the season, DJ Reed, like I don't know, second half of the season, he was not very good at all. That not to be said that like if he came back this year, I think Aaron Glenn could get him shaped back up and get him playing like he was before. I think he's a good player. I appreciate what he did for us. I appreciate how he acted while he was here. He was a stand-up guy for the most part.
Yep.
Kind of till the end. You know, appreciate you, Reed. This is all I expected out of him, though. I only expected us to get 3 years out of him, and he'd be going elsewhere. So I'm not like, it's whatever. I'd rather have him than Stevens, though. I will say that.
Do you care at all the fact that he went to a winner and not like the Arizona Cardinals?
I don't blame him. I think most of us in his position would have done the same. He's making good money. He got good money out of us, and this is another contract, and he might even get another top tier contract because he was so young when he started getting these So I don't think he's super concerned about money. He's going to make a good bit of it over the course of his season, and I think that he just wanted to win like most competitors do. And if I was in his position, I'd have done the same exact thing. If I'm not re-signing with the team that took a chance on me with the Jets, then I want to go to somebody that's probably going to win it all or have a good shot at it. So I don't blame him.
Scott?
That's what I say. Good for him. Don't blame him. I'd have been happy for him to stick around, but I hope he does well. I think he was a stand-up Jet.
Well, I got another stand-up Jet for you guys, and I'm not going to say a word. You guys can take it as soon as it drops. I want to know what you think of this guy, though.
Oh yeah.
Now, there's my tip of the cap because I'm a big Mosley guy. I liked Mosley. I do understand he was aging. He wasn't what he used to be. He really never was after that injury after we got him, but he was still solid. Even after the fact, even dropping off, he was still solid. And he was always a leader. He was always excellent. And he was always willing to train the young guys. And I think he's a big reason as to why Sherwood is what he is today. So I appreciate the shit out of CJ Mosley. And I really regret the fact that we were never able to give him a championship.
I think if he is done playing, the Jets should hire him immediately as a coach.
I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Yeah. I don't know if he's got it takes a lot to be a coach. It's not just knowing the game, but you have to be able to teach the game and you have to be able to socialize with the players. And there's a lot to it. You know that probably more than anybody, Scott, because your dad was a coach, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know if he's got that side to him because he is kind of a, intriguing guy. He's a little interesting. But if he's on for at least doing some kind of a program where you kind of learn how to coach. They do that with like old players all the time. So if he wants to do that, hell yeah, we'll see.
He seems he's obviously smart enough and he seems like he has the mentality for it. But yeah, I'd like to see.
At minimum, if they got Bart Scott in the studio, man, they can get CJ Mosley in the studio too. So, like, hey, just a heads up, like CJ Mosley, if you're ever surfing on YouTube on a Friday night, I know a show that is Jet related that would love to have you.
Hey, get that 57 jersey on, Dane.
Yes.
I heard it. I heard there's a co-host that's just horrible on that show. So you should probably just come in and replace him.
Dude, could you imagine? Hey, if any Jet player, though, if you're surfing on a Friday night, you never know. They could pop in, and here we are lambasting them. I'm supporting this guy. And we're going to get into some Reed and Mosley takes in the chat I want to ask. But, like, would you take Conklin back?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I'd rather have him on the roster than Ruckert. Now, I know you got to figure out the money, but just player versus player, easy decision.
Well, anyways, good.
I think you can do better than Conklin, but I don't think that you have to. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Conklin is a solid tight end one, but he's never going to be like the huge difference maker on your team. You know what I mean? Like if you need a guy, he would be fine. But like if you're looking to have that guy, like you're going to want to find the next Laporta in the draft or something like that. Like you're so if they don't think that they're going to have the assets to be able to afford drafting a tight end decently high up in the draft, first 3 rounds or whatever, if they think they have too many holes to fill or whatever it may be, then go ahead and sign Conklin for another year or two, man. Like, why not? He wasn't bad for us, and he was always a stand up dude. So I would absolutely take him back.
It's hey, if you pay him like a tight end too, I would do it yesterday. You know, it's when you're paying him like a tight end one. Like what I want to stop doing is expecting him to have 1,007 touchdowns, and I do that a lot of the times based on the room he's in and also like his money.
And
Like,
the quarterback.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, everyone is like, oh, he's going to have 1,000 yards receiving with Rodgers. And he was what he was, what he's always been, which
Don't
is
Yep.
remind me
solid.
of that
Which is
prediction.
solid.
I don't even I that video needs to just disappear because that was, oh man. The only thing that was good about that video was my Will McDonald prediction.
You
'Cause
nailed that one.
I almost nailed it right on the money.
Yeah.
Jerry in the chat, he said Fields loves tight ends. Komet and Fryermuth were his main targets. So he says yes to Conklin. I think it's interesting that all these tight ends are getting signed, but he's not. So it makes me wonder, like, does he want to come back and hasn't been collared yet, or what?
That I mean, that's a good point. That was an excellent point by Jerry bringing that up. I didn't realize that, but now that I think about it, I remember at least when he was with the Bears, Komet was that was probably some of his more productive years. That might be something to think about. I guess there's something to think about. Like when you got a quarterback that's mobile and he likes to kind of take off running and make a play happen, one of the first guys they look towards is those tight ends because a lot of times they're matched up against like a linebacker or that they're too fast for or a safety that they're too big for. So, when the play breaks down, those are the guys you look for. So, yeah, maybe we need to invest in having a good tight end. I mean, we've been preaching it already this whole show.
Safety valve, you know?
Yes.
One thing I wanted to bring up before it gets too far in the rearview mirror. And Daniel, I think you addressed this in the chat, but I just wanted to give Scott and you a chance to double down on it. Boomtown wants to know, was Reed not the number one ranked cornerback up until about December 1st, basically?
I don't know.
You got your fraction a little messed up. About 1/4 of the way into the season, yes, he absolutely was. Post Sala firing, and I'm not saying that has anything to do with it. It could not. Um, Reed was struggling, man, and I don't know if he was just getting frustrated in general because they weren't winning games, and this was supposed to be a year where they were, and he was committing penalties left and right, and he started getting burned. He was making mistakes. Reed was not that good last year. He started off like a bat out of hell. He would look like the best cornerback, and like I said, quarter of the way into the season, but that doesn't count for the whole season. There's still uh, 12 games left to play or so. So I don't know, man. I didn't like what I saw out of him last year.
Well, for me too, it wasn't more so what he did. I mean, because trust me, I was throwing shit at the TV at certain times because of him, whether it wasn't a penalty, he was just getting beat. He was also solid at times too, but you're right. The first quarter of the season, we were all saying he's the best corner on the team right now. But the other thing was like, dude, it totally just slipped out of my mind. So Scott, did you have something to add on that?
I think I appreciated him last season more than Murph did for sure. Um, as far as the rankings, I remember hearing he's ranked high, but I couldn't tell you where he was at any certain time. I did appreciate that he didn't mind coming up and laying the wood on somebody now and then. But he started getting too handsy. And Sauce was doing the same thing. So um, I was okay with him. I mean, I
And
was frustrated with the defense in general at times. I think we all were. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Like, okay, we got a game right here to win, and then somehow the Patriots go down the field throwing the ball to some guy we've never heard of and win. And then they made the quarterback in Indianapolis look like friggin' Johnny Unitas, 2 fourth quarter touchdown. It was baffling. To be great the whole game, and then the game was on the line, and what happened? So
guys, we are talking Butte here in the Danger Zone on Friday night.
Ute.
Get you a little
That's what
boost tonight.
I was gonna say is that Connor Rogers, whose opinion I really do respect, I think most of us do, is he pointed out something really important, regardless of what you thought of Reed last year, and it was that you rarely see a small corner get a third contract that's worth it. And that's when it dawned on me, like, maybe we just cash out on him, and we're cashing out in a lot of spots, just starting over. Why pay Reed? Well, hell, we paid Stevens, but I think if we wanted Reed, it would have cost us more than what Detroit paid him.
We'd have been paying a Jets tax to our own.
I didn't really want to get too deep in on this because like I do want to show some appreciation for Reed. He did play his heart out for us, man. He was a hard hitter. Like he was not afraid to tackle. Like there was a lot of things I loved about DJ Reed. Like props. Give the guys flowers. But like you said, the small corner thing. DJ Reed, a lot of his coverage skills and stuff like he really relied heavily. If you watch the tape, he relied heavily on his speed, on his ability to whenever the receiver gets a step on him, his closing speed was very good. It was borderline elite. And that was something he relied a lot on. And whenever you start getting to those upper 20s, man, that's when you start to just slowly see that speed maybe not be what it was. And when they get in their 30s, so it's better to just let him go, man. I didn't want to be the guy that says that. I hope he does well with the Lions. I think most of us Jets fans have been rooting for the Lions anyway, just to see him finally break that curse or whatever. Um, but I think it was a good move to let Reed walk. So Gardner, Sauce is your guy. I know he had a rough season too, but Sauce is our guy. He's homegrown. He's got everything you want in a corner, except maybe he could tackle a little better. But is that not a common thing for corners anyway? Like I get it, guys. Like it's frustrating to see him try to like body hit a guy, and Sauce doesn't have the size to be able to knock a guy down whenever he body hits him and doesn't wrap him up. So that frustrates me as much as it does any of you. But I see that shit all over the league with corners, man. Corners are not good tacklers. They're not big guys, and they put every minute of their training time into coverage because that's the main thing they do is they're supposed to lock down those receivers the best they can. And it's a hard job. It's probably the second hardest job in the league, the quarterback, in my opinion. Trying to lock down a receiver rep for rep, every freaking rep is a hard job, especially as good as these receivers are nowadays and the way the rules are in the NFL. It's so offense oriented. Um, so I'm not too upset about a corner not being able to tackle. Like that's what your linebackers and shit are for. That's what your safeties are for. Sauce is fine, guys. Like he's going to come back. He's going to be just as good as he ever was. That's our guy. and hopefully we just sign up. Hopefully Brandon Stevens comes in and he performs adequately. He's our cornerback too. We just need him to play adequately. Okay, that's all I gotta say about the corners.
Hey, respect for DJ though, because he was like a role model to a lot of guys in that locker room who maybe weren't as mentally matured as he was. And I give the dude credit because the photos I've seen out of Detroit of him signing, he looks 10 years younger. And I said to myself, what the hell? Well, I said on Twitter, I'm like, tell me your secret because you look 10 years younger. Or wait, was it just leaving New York? You know what? Maybe someone has something to add on this take. Maybe this person has something to add on any other free agent acquisition that happened this week. Without further ado, let me bring in the first caller to the Danger Zone tonight. A guy looking dapper in the green room. Deserves to come out into the spotlight. Jets Worldwide, Johnny Boy.
What's up, guys? How you guys holding up?
Oh, there he is.
Hey, I love you guys' show, man. I really look forward to this on every Friday night, man. It's killing it. You, Murph, and Scott. Hey, I'm all about this little, four-way right here. But I wanted to come up here real quick. I wanted to ask you guys something really fast because kind of what Murph was talking about in regards with DJ Reed. I feel the same way. Like, I really appreciated DJ Reed in regards to everything he's done, but he's gone. Like, and for me, it's deuces. It is what it is. But with that point being said, I don't know if you guys saw this, right? And you might have talked about it. I'm not 100% sure, but Huff is coming back in the conversation, right? And I was somebody that was very like, F the guy. I don't want to see him because he didn't want to be here. But with JJ coming back from that injury, I keep talking about potentially having some type of insurance piece in there in regards. Do you guys welcome that maybe, right? And what would it take to possibly do that and bring that over?
These guys are looking off to the side so heavily right now. I feel like they're not feeling. Hey, talk to me, guys.
First of all, you gotta think money, okay?
Exactly.
Like they did pay that. Now they didn't pay him a ton of money, okay? I think we were all surprised last offseason. We're like, oh, really? Is that all they, you know? But it's still a significant starting edge type contract. I think part of his success was Saleh, right? Saleh's not here anymore. Now, Aaron Glenn is probably a good defensive minded head coach. I think his resume speaks for itself. He did well in Detroit, especially with all the injuries that he had last year. He could potentially bring it back out in Huff. But I tell you what, Vic Fangio is a good defensive coach too. And that's the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. And if he couldn't work with Huff, who's to say that anybody else can other than Saleh? Maybe that's just the type of guy that Saleh needs. And that's another thing. You got Saleh and Ulbrich out there on different teams that are probably eyeing up that. So will we even have a chance? I don't know. But I think it's better to stay away. Let Glenn and them bring their own guys in my opinion.
And Murph, you
think
said
it's
it
worth it.
earlier. Johnny probably wasn't here. You don't want Muji messing around dealing with Philadelphia. You're kind of, that worries you. Being taken advantage of.
That was Dane that said that. He's scared to death.
Oh, was it Dane? Okay.
Bend him over the table and take him out for all he's worth. I'm not as terrified of that, but also the fact that we had Joe Douglas for a while. I've never been terrified of trades, but now we got a different guy. I got to get that in my head. Like, oh, we might be the ones getting raked over the coals here. So I don't know. I think it's better to stay away. That's just
how he got us pretty good last year.
Yeah, he's the only one that really got Joe. And
Yeah.
Joe got him a time or two too. So they the back and forth, those guys did pretty well. But
The Reddick thing though. Good Lord.
yeah, oof.
So you guys are no to it, essentially, right?
No.
And I want to say thank you because I'm on the same boat. I don't want that. It's the past. Continue to keep moving forward, and you got your process, and just continue keep going with it, man. Like there's legit people that are wanting him back, and they're not seeing the cost of it. Which I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's ways to not really worried about it, but he already put that sour taste in a lot of individuals' mouths, right? So why bring that guy back? And you're right, with Vic over there, he couldn't do it with him over there. He was calling him out off rip, saying that this dude might not even like get on the field, and it happened. So I appreciate you guys being straightforward and being honest with it. I just don't get it, man. Like I don't understand. It's like any name that comes out like right then and there, it's like let's hop on it real quick. I don't even care about, what it would mean for the future for us and whatnot. So it's I appreciate that.
That's how Jets fans act, man. We see a name, we want it, like the OBJs and everything. Like guys, just like a lot of Jets fans are just like, oh yeah, like, and it's like, whoa, wait a second, let's actually like take a look at like what they did recently. Not just look at their name and stuff like that. Let's see what they did recently and see how they are in different systems, whatever it may be. Um, the thing about the thing I wanted to ask you guys real quick. If I asked you who was going to have the better season for the Eagles last year between Bryce Huff and Mekhi Becton, who would you have said? Real quick, just around the panel.
Oh, Huff. I mean, right? Easy.
I would have said Puff too, man.
Yeah. How crazy is that? The
Dude,
NFL is so unpredictable.
I thought he was gonna eat over there, man, like for real. And he didn't even. I don't know. He might have if he saw the field. I don't. There needs to be a book written one day because I don't understand that at all. It's not like he just landed over. They paid 51 million to get him over there, and then they didn't use him. So I'm just like baffled. Or I guess Braden Mann isn't in the conversation, huh?
Dude, what are we doing we got like 2 punters right now on the squad? Maybe one's gonna be a wide receiver.
Hey, Johnny, isn't Becton available also?
He is. He is.
Check Morstead's completion percentage. Let's maybe we'll have him as quarterback.
Hey, he's 100, right?
The next Tupa.
Hey, that was he rocked 7 too, right? Yeah, I think Tupa's number was 7 as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember. I was thinking it was 2, but maybe it's just because 2 is in his name. So I'm thinking that he's got 2. He is gay fathers, 2 dads, 2 paws.
The thing. Let me just add this though. Like the only reason they were able to acquire Huff and shit when they did is they backloaded 90% of that contract is after Huff's gone. It's all dead money. So like if you're trading for him, you're taking on a shit ton of dead money. I say no, man. Fuck Roseman. Let him eat that dead money himself. He cut the deal. He can now lay in his bed,
Hell yeah. And I gotta head out in a few real quick and the last thing I wanted to ask you guys real fast, right? We've always talked about Allen Lazard, right? And I kind of been very vocal in regards to Allen Lazard. And he's a question that's come up, myself, Snowball, we were talking about it tonight and everything, and I said it. I actually want to keep him. Like, I really want to keep Allen Lazard, not because of, I don't know, man, because he could block, right? He's a good blocking wide receiver. And if we are going to go more with, the RPOs, et cetera, whatever they wanted to do with Fields and all that, I think that's something that potentially could be huge for us as well. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts, right? And not only that, but Dano, because you know the numbers and the way you break it down, I could kind of understand a little bit more. Like, is that really going to hurt us money wise as well? Like, I don't know, but from seeing it from my end and what's really out there, that there's nothing really out there right now. We're talking about we might need a veteran wide receiver there. I think Lazard should be able to go ahead and fit that, right?
Let me start off because I just looked it up real fast, and June 1st, he's making 13 this year. And if we cut him on June 1st, we get 11 of the 13 back.
See ya.
But like it makes me wonder though, because like look at the wide receiver market, man. It's blown up. You got wide receiver fours making 13 million. So like
Well, and the brutal reality is right now he's their second best receiver. Maybe Corley can be better. We don't know. But
I-
man,
ideally I would say, Lazard, listen, you sucked. You're getting 13 million, you're not worth it. How about we take that 13 and you give us 2 seasons for 13 million? Let's restructure you. Or we'll give you 15 for 2 years. We're not giving you 13 for one, but like you got to sweeten that deal because right now it's not worth it.
man,
I am going to say it right now. I want no fucking part of Alan Lazard. We'll get 11 back. I will take a loan out tomorrow for the other 2 million. We get all 13 million back if that's what it fucking takes. Get him off of my team. I want nothing to do with Alan Lazard, okay? We can sign 5 wide receiver fours and be whatever. I don't care. Get rid of Lazard because the only time he showed me anything is whenever he had Aaron Rodgers throw into him because they have their little continuity and their little chemistry and stuff like that. And he still dropped some fucking balls that I didn't like. So he can kiss my ass and get out of here. There's guys out there that we can replace him with and give us similar production.
yeah, oh yeah. Go back to how bad he was without Rodgers. Yeah, that 11 million is very attractive.
Yeah, but like you said, Scott, he's the second best wide receiver on the team.
Right now, who's still out there? Keenan Allen, he's out there, right? Older guy, doesn't seem like somewhere the Jets are wanting to right now.
Chosen Anderson.
Oh God.
He came out and did an interview where he would love, it would be so nostalgic for him to come back here.
Yeah.
And I see what Hazel's saying in regards of the penalty piece of it, but I could say the same thing about 7, 8 different other players that we had on the team that constantly were getting penalties, right? I don't think more or less it was the players. I think it was more of the coaching that we had that sucked. And you had a guy that would change the play back there, and you have dudes that had no idea what the hell was going on, right? So I don't know, man. It's one of those that's there. Like, I get that, he's trash. Yes. I mean, I guess, right? But the free agency that's out there, like what is there, right? I mean, he might be a wide receiver 4 for us at this point, or a wide receiver 3, because we don't even know we have Corley. I'm still high on Corley, right? I think he just wasn't utilized the correct way as well. But to have that, maybe, I don't know.
He wasn't utilized correctly or incorrectly. He just wasn't utilized at all.
And the thing with Lazard too, you can keep him on your team until October and cut him if other guys show out,
Dane, who do you see on the free agent receiver list?
You'll have to give me a minute. I know you did say Keenan Allen.
He's just off the top of my head because I saw something about him today, but I'm just curious who's out there.
Tim Patrick was was the second best one of there. I think Amari Cooper is still there.
Stephon Diggs, Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, Elijah Moore, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Cooks, Nelson Aguilar, Any of those names?
And Cup got picked up by Washington, Hazel.
Seattle.
I believe. Yeah, he was Seattle. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
I cannot do the Amari Cooper shit that people are getting behind. I can't, man, because I watched him in Buffalo and he was just a decoy.
Yeah, I think he's kind
Okay, I got the rest of them. I had to load it up. Sorry. After Aguilar, we have Juju Smith-Schuster, Michael Gallup, Robert Woods, McCole Hardman, Josh Reynolds, Devin Duvernay, OBJ, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd. Is Boyd really available? Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, never mind. Kadarius Toney. I want no part of him either. Zach Pascal, Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield, Rondale Moore. He's a sneaky good option in the slot. Chris Conley, Steven Sims. Oh, I mean, the list goes on. Jamison Crowder's still playing. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson is still playing, apparently. James Proche. Is it Proche?
I think, yeah.
Lil Jordan Humphrey. I'm skipping over names now, too. Terrence Marshall Jr., Malik Taylor. I'd take him over Lazard.
Bring him back, baby. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
The big thing, though, is that Fields can't throw. Well, if we don't have any receivers, does it matter?
We're going to run the ball.
Well, you know, we'd like to maybe make teams think we're going to throw the ball a little bit, and give GW a little bit of help.
I smell it now, man. Get ready. Smith-Schuster's coming.
Murph mentioned a couple names that I think would be okay in there. Can't remember them now, but definitely some guys, especially considering the 11 million we're getting back.
Terrace Marshall Jr. isn't a terrible name to throw in there. As a wide receiver 3 or 4, I mean, you know, Chris Conley. I like Rondale slot, but Garrett kind of takes some slot reps, so I don't know about that. DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd. Gallup isn't a terrible option as a 3 or 4. I don't know.
I didn't even know he was in the league still.
Who? Michael Gallup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did he play for last year?
I don't know who it was last year, but he had a couple good years with the Cowboys. He was all right, you know.
But guys, I appreciate you guys, man. I hear my son. He keeps saying, "Dad, Dad, Dad, Dad." You know how to come up here, show some love, man. I see my man Murph over there, man, looking thick, bro. I see the traps right there and everything, man. Dana with the beard game on point over there. And my man Scott always on point. You already know, man. So I thought he was asleep. I don't know if it's because of the hat, you know, so it could be, but hey, keep doing you guys stuff, man. I'll be hearing you guys on my phone and everything. But hey, Alan Lazard, baby, right?
Hey,
over 1,000 yards next year.
0 to 10, grade Justin Fields signing on your way out.
A 10. Because I mean, bro, he was the guy there. Like, who else? They got it done. We're not having to worry right now about at pick 7. Are we gonna get Sanders or are we gonna try to trade up to get Ward or whatever? Now we have so much crap in play for this upcoming draft. So just saying. But hey, it's Jets, baby. You already know what time it is. Peace.
Hey, Scott, Johnny.
The New York Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Scott's got the hat low today because today is Pi Day. I don't know if you guys know, but today is Pi Day, and he got it confused with 420, so that's why he's got his hat low covering his eyes.
With high day. Oh, yeah.
He got Pi Day mixed with High Day, and that's what's going on.
What the hell is Pi Day?
Oh, geez.
3.14.
Yeah.
3.14159.
Not Blackberry Pi? Because
March 14th. No.
Oh,
No.
gotcha. All right.
Yeah. 314. Yeah.
Well,
little math nerds over here. Dane with his cap math stuff going on, and I don't know what the hell I am, but yeah. So Johnny came in here and got us all riled up. He got me riled up with the Alan Lazard stuff. I
I
got you know
decided,
how I feel on him. I almost want rid of him more than I do Xavier Gibson at this point. That's pretty bad because I really want rid of Xavier Gibson too.
Lazard or Clemens. You get to pick one.
I would keep Clemens.
Okay.
I'd keep Clemens as a depth piece. You know what I mean? Like I don't want him starting by any means. If he plays 20% of snaps, I'm okay with it.
I just don't see how they keep. Well, it's a different staff now. Let's just say I don't see how they keep Lazard after how he was without Rodgers.
Exactly. How bad he was, dude, and I can never get it out of my head. Whenever I think it was a pick six, maybe the Raiders game, and he ran down to the end zone with the guy and gave him a hug, like the corner that picked us off. And I'm like, what? What are you doing? Do you not even know who the fuck you play for? Like, what are you doing? I don't care if that's your best buddy in the world. Like, you can congratulate him later through text or something. Like, not during the game. What is that, dude? That is not the kind of culture guy I want in my locker room. He can kick rocks and soccer balls, apparently.
I see some new blood in the chat, Luppy. I'm sorry if I missed you before, but I think it's I know you well from the Jake Asman show. Welcome, brother. I would just like to say, if you are Team Tyler Warren in the first round, you are on the right channel, brother. But I want to ask you guys, because Luppy is being vocal right now about getting Tyler Warren. This is his first comment, but there are a few more. He says, there will be 8 in the box looking for the run since Fields can't throw deep. So a tight end would occupy the linebackers. And he goes on to ask who we love. I think he means at 7. We mentioned obviously what we would like at 7, like an hour and a half ago. But for our second wave of guests, can you kind of just mention what you would like to? I mean, obviously we need pass catchers, man. What do you guys want to do? Because free agency is drying up fast.
Draft related only, right? I wouldn't be mad about Warren, but that's not where I want to go at 7 because there's so many quality tight ends in this draft. And I know this won't be a popular thought, but if this Membu, right? Is it Membu? If he is all that, he came out of nowhere. But if he's all some people are starting to say, and you can lock down your right tackle for 10 years, you have your right and your left done, man, if you really think he's that kind of guy, that's hard to pass up.
Yeah, the Tyler, I'm with you on the Tyler Warren thing, Scott. Like I love the prospect, and I think you like Tyler Warren as well as a prospect.
Sure.
It's just taking him at 7, like the 7th best player in the draft. You're saying, and that position, especially whenever it's a tight end rich draft. Oh, that's tough, man. If they did it, I'd be like, all right, I'm whatever. I'm behind it, but I would love to move back at least 3 spots or something and take them.
That's move back.
I will say, Luppy, like you're talking to a panel that at this point, all 3 of us are heavy on it. We all want to slide back. If we have a choice, who we love is calling another GM and saying, hey, can you give me another first or second, to drop a few spots back. That's who we love, is that GM that's willing to give us those extra picks. But if you're talking about specifically prospects, I do like Tyler Warren, but I'd love to move back and get him. I still I like Tet. I'm a little disappointed that Blewett's not as high on him as I am, but that doesn't mean I'm going to change my opinion. I definitely want to watch that breakdown though. I still like Ted. I like the idea of having a guy like that, like to complement Garrett. Um, I've warmed up to Mason Graham a little bit. I just don't know the fit. I just when you're talking, we need a defensive tackle. We want that nose tackle. We want that run stuffer, that 330-pound, type guy. And Mason Graham's not that. Like, he's closer to having another Quinnen, except I don't think he's as good as Quinnen is. Not even close, really. But so I don't know, man. I'd be willing to take the other guys aren't as high as I am. I don't think. I'm willing to take the Cam Ward leap. Not willing to give up my house and home and my future next kid to get him. But if I had to move up 2 or 3 spots, if he dropped, I would be willing to do it. And if he dropped to 7, I would definitely be willing to do it. So as far as guys I like, also I think Will Johnson is a good prospect too. I know we signed Brandon Stevens, but I don't care, dude. You go BPA, man. You can just if you have a position on your team that's talent rich, like I'm not mad at it. I don't care. Like
So give us a pecking order. Give us a pecking order, including slide back.
slide back's 1. If Cam drops to 7, that's probably 2 for me.
and
That doesn't.
I wonder if it
don't-
does anything for that. No.
don't include Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, but everybody else is fair game.
That doesn't count.
Well, Abdul Carter, yeah.
I'm thinking. So slide back's 1. If Cam drops to 7, 2. I already said slide back, so Tyler 1. We'll say Tet is 3, Tyler's 4, Will Johnson 5, and then everything else I think we fucked up.
Everything else.
There's a couple good edges and stuff, but I don't know if we'd be reaching for them at 7. I haven't done enough homework to say if they're good enough to go that high on. But
if you're going that deep, then Shador is available or Mason Graham. And at that point, the whole draft is turned on its head. Scott, do you have a different ranking than Murph?
Well, I'm number 1. We're totally aligned there. Oh gosh, I don't see Ward being there at 7, so I'm not going to even count that. Who would Murph have at 3? Tet? Man,
So we're talking you have to stick and pick who is your like slide. If you're putting slide back first, everything else is stick and pick.
If Membu is what some people are saying he is now, he's my guy. I mean, you know me, I want to build the trenches up. We need some receivers. I'm starting to, as much negativity as we're starting to hear about Tet, starting to worry me a little bit. I was, of course, Tet and Tez, and now I never say their names anymore. But I'd be okay with Warren. Like I said, I would rather not do it at 7, get him after a trade back. I might like the other Michigan tackle better than Mason Graham.
Kenneth Grant.
Yeah. But I'm going to, based on what other people are saying, I'm going to say Membu. if he's that good, and I'm hearing people saying he's in their top 5 now who study this a lot more than I do. Can you imagine having your tackles locked down for the next 10 years?
See, the only thing I fear though is like Will Campbell, whatever is that the left tackle? Will Campbell? People had him mocked to New England, and now they're just flip flopping it, and Membu will go 4. So like, I don't know now if he'll be there at 7. I don't know. I don't know.
He may not be.
But so Tet, Membu, Graham, Warren, what's your pecking order?
Well, Membu, I'll stick with Membu. But trade down is way up here, and then number 2 is down here somewhere. So.
And then Graham, Tet, and Warren, how do you have ranked?
Well, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think Warren might be next. Then Tet, then Graham.
He should have freaking ran at the combine, man.
Well, he's probably not very fast, but you know what? He's always open up here.
People say, "Oh, we know it was a 4.6." We don't even know he's that fast. So, like,
well, I've said it before. Jerry Rice ran a 4.71 at the combine. Fitzgerald ran a 4.63 at the combine. So he's a big target. But I think it's easier to find a receiver than a tackle. So if you know you got the tackle there, you got to take him, in my opinion.
And Graham isn't even in. No, he's way down for you.
I won't say he's way down, but I think it's there's some decent defensive tackles in the class. So I'm not thinking I need to get him. Once again, he'd be a guy you get maybe after you trade down.
Hey, Luppy, man, you spawned a great convo, some great Jets discourse, and
he's got another good comment in there about the trade back too that maybe we should talk about, I think.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. The only thing, Luppy, I'd say is we do just it can get dry because we're 100% ball talk. So if you like just talking ball, we're here. But yeah, for every Friday night. He says one problem with trading back is there really any great player at 7 who another team is willing to trade up for besides Sanders, maybe?
That's the problem. Like I agree with Leppy in the sentiment he's trying to get across. I don't think this draft is very top heavy. Right. I think there's depth in this draft. Like I think second rounders, third rounders are very valuable in this draft. I think in the first round, like it's not like, oh man, we got like 12 blue chippers. Like, no, not really. So I don't know how many people are willing to move up, but I think the panel here, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think most of us are like, if we can trade down, yeah, let's do it. But I don't know if it's a likely scenario. What do you think, Scott's head?
Well, he's doing that because this comment here, which is pretty freaking, it's hilarious. Midnight Mike says Scott should try to take up less of his available camera space. He's at a third. We need him at like a quarter. And then one other comment for Scott here. Can you outrun a mule deer?
I cannot snowball.
The question is can the mule deer outrun your gun? Can it outrun
Well,
the
the
bull?
only gun I have here, it probably could.
Oh, gee.
But that
Okay.
was just something to make a loud noise when I was out looking for my dog in case the mountain lion liked me also.
Here, let me ask you guys this, because I know everybody says that. Oh, you can only trade down. It takes two to tango. You know, there has to be a blue chipper at 7. Here's my only rebuttal to that, and I feel like it's a good rebuttal. That's the case if you want to look at the trade value chart and have the perfectly even trade. But if you're like meh on the board that's there at 7, or you have 6 guys all grouped together, who's to say you can't take a little less pennies on the dollar to facilitate a trade? Then does it really take 2 perfect apples to tango? Like, I feel like if you want to trade back, you can. It's just how stingy do you want to be? How far are you fall? Like, it's you have to weigh that. But like, do you feel where do you draw the line with I need perfect compensation, or I'm gonna say F it and just stick and pick my guy, first choice, versus hey, I'll take a fourth. A fourth will help me if I'm just sliding 2 or 3 spots and I have 5 guys I'm cool with. Where do you draw that line? Because it might come into play next month.
I'm okay to take with what might be viewed as a little bit of a loss on a trade to move back, because like Murph said, it's not a top heavy draft. I think there's I bought into this. There's a lot of value in the second, third, and fourth rounds. So why not get more of that?
I think that there's just like there's a line. Like you have to draw a line with it. You don't want to be you don't want to be the desperate team. But I think that in a draft like this one, you're more willing to go lower than maybe what your normal line would be. Um, if normally for moving down 4 spots from like this type of position, you were like, I need to have at least a second rounder and some change. Maybe this draft you're like, you know what, give me 2/3 or something. You know what I mean? Like, and or maybe you're willing to go a little less, like a third and a fourth or something. Um, yeah, there's just got to be a line. You have to figure out your line, set it before the draft. Obviously, they have conversations before the draft too. They have trades set up well before. It's pretty crazy how that happens too, because you never know who's picking who. Um, you definitely have to have your line set beforehand and try to stick by it. Don't be the desperate team. Is my big thing about that.
Let me while we wait on Scott, I think we've fleshed that out. I mean, you trade back, you would take a slight discount, but you do have a line. You're not just going to totally bend over. I get that too. Scott he's willing to work if it means we're getting more capital. I'm kind of like that too. Like I'm not taking a fifth to slide back, but if like my sweet spot, dude, I really want to go to number 9 where the Saints are, or 10 Chicago. Like I would entertain a fourth to go just that far. But I also want Graham, Tet, and Warren to be available before I do that, because I want one of those guys. So if Graham, Tet, and Warren are all available at 7, then sure, I'll go to 9 and I'll take what's left for a fourth, because it's a high fourth. But honestly, I won't know for sure until we're on the clock. But if it's outside the top 10, it's a whole nother ball game, in my opinion. But one other thing I wanted to ask you, Murph, while I have just you, the thumbnail I made for this. It was a play on words, yes, but it said, Fields, Justin, time to save us? Fields, just in time to save us. Is he going to save us?
I love your play on words, Dane. You know, I always love your little word plays and stuff, and I try to contribute to our little Discord conversations with that as well. Let's be real. No, come on, Dane. We're first of all, we're the New York Jets. Is anybody ever going to save us? I don't know. Like, I'm starting to really doubt that. Uh, as optimistic as I've ever been, like I've always been super optimistic and hopeful and stuff, and I I'm starting to get to the point to I don't know if anybody's going to save us, but Justin Fields especially. I'm not going to sit here and BS you. Like a year ago or so, I was like, he's washed. I was one of those guys saying that. Now, whenever he played for the Steelers last year, there were some things that I saw that I liked. And his record spoke for itself, like the win losses, but it's not just a quarterback thing; it's a team thing. So. Um, it's a high upside, low floor, right? At best, he could be in the MVP conversation potentially. Like if he's rushing for 1,000 yards and he's got 3,000 passing yards and he's 35 total touchdowns, and that could be the ceiling. The floor could also be like, holy shit, you're really bad. Let's put Tyrod in. And then Tyrod gets injured, and we put Justin in, and we're like, Jesus, you're still really bad. So we put the third stringer in, like Zach Wilson type stuff. That's the floor, So is Justin Fields going to save us? I'm going to say like 95% likely that he won't.
And I know why Dane waited to ask that. Well, when I was gone, because he was worried I might vomit on camera.
He almost did anyway.
Well, here's the other thing that worries me. Like, we've seen him with Chicago, right? And before Ben Johnson, we've seen him at Chicago. We've seen him in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. What version do you think we are closer to, franchise wise and coaching wise? And like, so that's where I'm like, oh, we're going to get more of the Chicago version of Fields than we're going to get the Pittsburgh version. But then the other side of me is like, well, maybe he learned stuff in Pittsburgh that he can bring here. So like,
Sure. Yeah.
It's tough, man. I mean, honestly though, I think as far as rentals go, the fact that Murphy said 95% and not 100%, that might be a win. That might be dude. He just said we had a 5% chance of being saved by Justin Fields.
Well, what does saved mean? A winning record?
Like he performed so well this season that we make the playoffs, and not every, but most Jets fans going into next offseason is saying, that's our fucking guy. Let's build around him. Let's do this. And we're already talking about how much he's going to cost us on the next contract.
Well, you know what would happen then, Murph. He would just tank after that.
Tank the next season. That's exactly, yes, I know, but
he could not put together a 2025 that would prevent me from drafting a quarterback high next year. We could win the Super Bowl. I'm not passing on that class. I don't care anymore. Like, and I don't care. Like, even when we have a Mahomes, I'm going to keep drafting them because I'm that scarred. Like, quarterbacks, give me them all.
Yeah, that's like me and my eat your veggies every draft type thing. Like, just fucking draft a quarterback every year. One of them has to be good.
Yep.
Well, you saw the Buffalo Jet fan draft he did, mock draft. It was all quarterbacks.
Yeah, now they're coming out and they're all Ohio State Buckeyes. Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Hey, could be worse teams to do that from. If you guys, just in case
Sure.
you guys kind of forgot that the Ohio State Buckeyes kind of won the national championship last year, and they kind of beat another team that starts with O in their name on the way
Yes.
there. But we'll not get into that.
Here's a question for you. Would you trade back to 10 for the Bears' third? See, we were talking fourths. This might be right on the money with the trade value chart, but tell me.
You were talking fourths, Dane. Correction, you were talking fourths. I was not. I would be okay with that. But optimally, like my line on a normal draft would be a second. Like I'm not going back 3 or more spots for less than a second. This draft, I would settle for a third.
What I would try to do is if the Bears actually came at us with that, I'd say, okay, but we want your second, but we'll throw in what would make it even, Dane? A fifth, maybe? A fourth?
So 7 to 10 alone is a jump that's equivalent to a mid-third rounder.
Okay. So if we insisted they throw in their second, what would we have to give them to make it even? 0.1.
I think we would probably have to give them a
Oh,
third.
really? That much? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so top heavy with the point
It is.
system. Like
I got it on here. I was going to look it up, but
Boom.
so would you do that? A 1 and a 3 for their 1 and 2?
I might do that.
So basically you'd slide 3 picks and then do a pick swap with them. You'd give them your third and it would upgrade it to a 2.
Right.
That's interesting. See, I want more picks is my thing.
Well, then you can trade down again or trade that second for 2/3. Depends on where they are.
You'd have Murph, you'd have 3 top 50 picks then.
Yeah.
I've done some of those mock drafts, and of course, they're all bullshit, but I've traded down up to like 3 times, and the team the draft picks I end up with are like, wow, that'd be awesome. Of course, it'll never happen, but
yeah, super unrealistic, but
yeah, totally.
Or they'll all of them will bust and you'll get nothing.
Dane, would you rather have 3 top 50s or 4 top 75s?
4.
Yeah.
Because honestly, once you get outside the top 10, now you're like half of them are garbage, if not more. So I want more bites of the apple.
I think right now Seattle has like 5 of the top 92 with what they've been doing.
That's pretty good. And that's the thing. Like if you hit all 5, you're changing your whole franchise. But if you hit none, you've wasted everything. So like you got to hit at least half.
Well, and this is a good draft to do it, right? A lot of solid talent in the top 100 players.
I just wonder, like, are we doing any extensions this offseason? Because, like, they're not going to affect our money. So, like, it's more just like, do you want to improve the optics? Do you want to improve the vibe in the locker room? Why don't you lock up? I'm a big guy, and you guys know this, but I'm talking to the chat as well. Like, I think we ought to extend AVT. I think that would be the biggest olive branch for that locker room. Like, none of his injuries have been the same thing twice. Only one of his injuries happened at right tackle. Everybody's, you move him to right tackle. That's why he gets injured. He only got injured once over there. Okay. And that was in Denver. So, like, get that out of your head. But lock him up because he's counting 15 million on the cap, and that'll plummet to like 5, and then go below 10 million on someone else.
Do you think maybe the new staff wants to kind of get to know some of these guys first before they do that?
Murph, what do you think?
I mean that is a good point, Scott. But like when you got like an uber talented player like a Sauce Gardner or Garrett Wilson, even. I mean, Garrett's already proven he can do it with multiple quarterbacks and multiple systems. So that I don't think that kind of argument goes out the window for him. Sauce, that's a different story, but the guy's uber talented. Um, there's some guys that it just doesn't matter. Like if you got talent on the team, you want to keep them. You know, uh, 2 first team All Pros in his first 3 years is that's already a heck of a resume, right? Like there's so many players out there that don't even get one in their entire career, even if they are a starter. Um, so I think that it makes sense to lock up certain guys, but I get the sentiment of like maybe they want to see these guys in their system. I get that.
There you go, Mike. Look at that.
Why is
Hey,
there why, not
why am I
why,
backwards?
why is there not a
Scott, we don't ask questions like that because you're the caveman. We just let it be, man.
because you're backwards, Scott? Okay.
100%.
It's in the settings, but we're
Why is
good,
there not a
brother.
beer? I want to know.
I don't got shit in this place. It's a tiny place. I got about enough clothes for a week, but I do have a chainsaw in my bedroom.
Hey.
Think what
Hey.
you want about that.
The essentials, clearly.
And a shotgun.
Hey, I've been watching a lot of Criminal Minds, and let me just say, keeping a chainsaw near you at all times is not a bad idea.
I tell you what, if I'm a burglar and I'm breaking into somebody's house and I hear a chainsaw start up, I'm just turning around and heading the fuck out the door. Like I'm done. Nope, not worth it.
Scott, let me ask you, there's a comment submitted from Midnight Mike. He wants to know, come on, Joe Theismann could have walked that off. Thoughts on that? I don't know if it means like the AVT convo we had, maybe.
I'm not sure what he's referring to. He walked most things off, but I know I saw one time he didn't walk it off.
Well, you can see it next to me, guys. Like the video, we are winding down. If you have literally like winding down, I mean like in the next 10 minutes, anything you want asked, submit it now. I do see a couple things I want to ask you guys before we head out of here. So we start out the season and Brees is a beast, man. He's carrying us. What are you doing come Halloween? Are you trying to part with him? Are you extending him? Or are you saying, hey, prove it to me for 10 more games?
What's our record?
We are batting 500, but he's giving us 100 a game.
Prove it. Keep proving it. Dane, I know you want to get at something out of him. I get it. I understand the sentiment, dude. But like, if apparently we're going to be a run heavy team next year. I don't see a world where we're not. He would be essential within that. Like if that's what they want to do next year. And I know that we're not competing next year, but still, like you want to give the fans something to watch. have him prove it, like, and then we'll talk about it in the offseason. But even then, I don't think that they're going to re-sign him. You can find running backs, dude. Alvin Kamara was like a 4th-round pick. Like, come on, you can find
What
running back elsewhere.
what if he showed like that he was rookie year Brees? Does that change your opinion? It changes mine. Does it change your opinion if he's running like rookie year Brees?
Was his rookie year the one that he got injured, or was that his
Yeah.
second year?
Rookie year.
Okay.
I think he's
Prove it. Still prove it. I got to see a bigger sample size out of him because I don't know. Some games he looks like he could be one of the best running backs in the league, and then some games he looks horrible.
I don't think he's a Jet in 2026.
That's the point. Okay.
Yeah. So
there's as strongly as I've been against, or as strongly as I've been with parting, with him. If he started like, there's a world where I extend him. There is, but like also he has to realize the dilemma and like, bro, there, some of that film from early 2024, horrible. And Murph, you said it, like, bad. There's times when he is horrible. So like, if he bakes that into the price, I'd give him 3 more years. But I'd have to see rookie year Brees first. And that's where like you don't feel like he's a liability running in between the guards, for instance. Like it was so bad last year to where like we just switched and it's like he's a gadget, he's outside the tackles, just put Braylon up the middle. That's ridiculous, man. I hope he gets his mojo back this year.
I will say one thing that, and I'm going to give Brees a little bit of credit here. I think that he was better suited for Mike LaFleur's scheme than he has been for anybody else that we've had in there. Um, and I think that Mike LaFleur's scheme, I think that San Francisco style, that Kyle Shanahan type stuff, is just very running back friendly. You see it all the time. Dude, no name guys all the time with the Rams. Like they always have people are like, "Oh, this dude's a stud," and I'm like, I didn't even know who he was like a year ago. Like every year they have a different back, and he runs for 1,200 yards, and it's like, what the hell? And I know that that's slightly different from Shanahan, but those good offensive guys, like they know how to get production out of running backs because they know how to scheme it correctly. So I think that really did help Brees' rookie year. And I'm not taking anything away from Brees; like he's super talented, but he hasn't shown it in other schemes. So who's to say he's going to show it in Engstrom and his scheme?
And his yards per carry have dropped each season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have no reason to think or believe this, but I just have this feeling he's going to really push for a big deal. If he has a good year, of course. Something that I personally maybe wouldn't be comfortable with at the running back position. But we'll see. Remains to be seen.
Outside of Saquon, I don't know anyone I'd be comfortable giving close to 15 million for. Like even McCaffrey's down for me.
King
like
Henry,
it's tough. Dude, not an aging King Henry.
Yeah,
like
he was.
King Henry
Yeah.
5.
But he was good last year.
At the same time, we might draft a guy in the 4th round or 5th round, and then you got 3 guys under the age of 23 to where like, oh, there's no path for him at all to
We
stay.
hear two positions that are very talent heavy in this draft, and that's tight end and running back.
Running back.
So I don't know.
Jay, I'm getting the chats over there, but I'm not able to highlight them. So just if you see one, shout it out. Jake says, run him till the wheels come off and franchise him if you need to. Just milk him, basically, not giving him a big extension. And we talk about it a lot here, man. And I feel bad for that, but like it's a big thing.
Yeah. And boy, I mean, there's talk now. The 49ers are wanting to trade McCaffrey. Well,
That doesn't shock me.
no, a lot of money, and those injuries are coming back. They're
Dude, and I mean, Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerrero balled the hell out last year.
yeah. So running backs can be replaced. Most of them aren't so much better than other guys that are available. They can be replaced. Johnny's back.
That's kind of what I was saying, man. Like that people find them in the third, fourth, fifth round all the time, man. It's not that uncommon.
Yeah.
And even guys that aren't necessarily the best in the league can still give you good production, like the Zach Mosses of the world and stuff,
Yeah.
I do.
Look at this guy.
To have a Barkley.
Look at this Chase Brown. Who ever heard of him? And he went nuts this year. I mean, he's part of a great offense, of course, but later, Mike. See you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. For sure. Yeah, he's having Ian Jet Central on tomorrow night, guys. So check out the Midnight Mike show. First episode I ever watched of that show was 1 year ago when Ian was on the last time. So pretty cool to see him on a second time. Matthew Smith, Mr. Trade Up for Ward, Trade Up for Ward, Trade Up for Ward, says he was on Chase Brown. No one is on my level, he says. He was on Chase Brown first. But let's go back to he's adopted Cam Ward trade up as his personality. Let's do that on our way out the door. Well, you know what? Hold on. I do want to ask you about that. But before I do, let me do real quick 2 other salutes from the Danger Zone. First one, thank you, Solomon Thomas, for your service. Which not everybody's favorite player of all time, but I feel like when it came to cost per production, he was pretty good. I'll get both your takes on that, but before I do, there's one other farewell I want to add. Brandon Eccles out the door.
I know that.
Thoughts? Yeah, thoughts. Okay, so thoughts on either one, if not both.
Well, Dane, you know that I was disappointed Eccles was gone. And as far as Solomon Thomas, okay player, good guy, good locker room guy. No ill will towards him, but definitely more disappointed to see Eccles gone. I like, he made plays, he created turnovers. I would like to see him stick around. What do you get? What was his deal anyway?
Who was it? Solly?
Eccles.
I think he got 3.5 or 4 mil.
For what? Just 1 year?
I'll find out.
I didn't even know he was gone, so I don't know.
He's your neighbor now, Murph.
Yeah.
He's in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yep. 2-year deal.
Okay.
Yeah, 2-year deal. I want to say it was around 4 million a year, so I'll say 2 for 8 if I had to guess. But chat, feel free to add it if you know it for sure. So what you're saying is you wouldn't tell him. You wouldn't tell him that?
I didn't. You're fucking out. I would have liked him to stay. I liked Eccles.
Yeah, I would have loved Eccles as a depth piece too. So that's kind of a bummer, and then seeing him go to Pittsburgh too always kind of rubs a little salt in the wound for me. Solly, Scott kind of nailed it. Solly's good dude. Like he always is in the running for like the Walter Payton Man of the Year award and stuff like that. Really good dude, good locker room guy, and I thought he was solid as like a rotational defensive tackle, like the third guy. First guy off the bench for the interior defensive line. He was not starter worthy, but he was like a good rotation guy. So, I appreciate him. Tip of the cap, Solly. Not overly upset that he's gone. So I don't know, but I am a little bit more upset about Eccles being gone, but I think we'll be fine.
Thing about Eccles, he when he got the chance, he seemed like he always played well. Someone they could count on.
Yeah, he had 5 interceptions and 16 pass deflections. And maybe on a normal team, that's okay. On our team, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like 2 of kryptonite. I don't know why, but I think probably 3 of those picks were from Tua.
I guess Ashton Davis doesn't get a salute, but he went to South Beach, man. We had so these 2 we just talked about. Ashton to South Beach. We got Wes Schweitzer and Morgan Moses going to New England. Kinlaw going to Washington. Reddick, where did Reddick go?
Buccaneers.
Right.
Yeah, Todd Bowles. Yep. Crazy, man. It's not a lot of high end talent, but a lot of guys changed places this offseason.
And of course, Zach is in Miami now. He'll probably end up.
It's like I said, a new regime. There's going to be a lot of turnover. Like we expected this to an extent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What do you think, man? Leave it there.
Yep, 3 hours.
Dude,
good show to me.
200.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is right, but 215 people from Twitter poked their heads in. YouTube's been popping all night, 15 to 25 strong, different 15 and 25 strong. So appreciate the love, man. We had a good show, and maybe a week from today, we'll have more depth signings.
Yeah. I mean, are there any splash signings even left out there?
I swear to God, if it's
for more signings of mild interest.
Dude, if there's Amari Cooper to the Jets, I will be so pissed.
I almost want it to happen just for that.
Yeah. Oh.
Hey.
You never know. There could be someone gets released, right?
Yeah, they could be due a roster bonus and they were trying to get traded.
Or Dane could get Lazard, get his deal worked out to get him to stick around.
He's a lifer. He's a lifer.
God, I hope he's gone. I don't even dislike the guy, but just what's the point?
Let's not kid ourselves, Johnny boy. You know that's my shirt that I let Murph borrow.
Hey, Johnny, you got one of these?
That's a limited run there, Scott. That's one of 4 ever.
He holds it up more fucked up the next time. Every time he holds it up, it's always more jacked up than it was the previous time.
If you hold it upside down, It's got to be like
it almost
this.
looks right upside down from places unknown.
When you
Yeah.
log in, Scott, the mirror camera, check that.
Johnny may not have one of those, but I have one of these.
Oh,
What is that item? What is the item?
It's like a writing board. Like a,
I thought it was like a French mirror or a French fan.
it can double. It can double up. Two things can be true at once.
Hey, good night, fellas. Good night, chat. We'll see you next week.
wait a minute. Wait. Matthew Smith. So back to Cam Ward. We never quite went there, did we? I am not trading up for Cam Ward. Sorry, Matthew.
I went there.
Are you trading up for anyone?
No, I'm not trading up.
What if
Even
Abdul Carter drops to 4?
Maybe if he drops to 6, trade up one spot.
That's not even worth it at that point. Come on.
I can't, no, Matthew. I'm sorry, man. Like, there's too like I'm a Drew Aller guy. I want to wait and see on him. I want to wait and see on Arch Manning. I want Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji to start scouting our quarterback now for next year. I don't want them getting here in January and trying to decide in 3 months. I want them to go and watch the guy all year in their senior year and then make a smart, informed decision. Their scouts aren't even in the building right now. They're using Joe Douglas's scouts. So if they take a quarterback in the top 10 now, they're not getting another chance. No.
I want a quarterback to sit for a year. The easiest way to that is by drafting one this year. Because if we go through a shit show of a year this year and then we draft one next year, they're not going to sit them for a year because the damn fan base is going to be too impatient to wait 3 years for potential success. So that's where it gets me, you know. And the only quarterback I see in this draft that's worth drafting high is Cam Ward, in my opinion. I'm willing to move up a few spots for him if he drops, but if it takes us to go all the way to number 1, no, that's too much. You're putting too much of your future into it. If he drops to like 4, we can give up a couple seconds or something. I don't know, and get up there. I'm okay with doing that, but I can't go all the way to 1. That's where I draw my line. Like I'm not going that high.
Here's a legitimate debate that I think can be had. You only have 2 options on the table. You can either trade up to 1 and take your quarterback now, or you have to trade pick 7 to next year's first to take a quarterback next year. So you either have to go all in or nothing at all. What would you do then?
Well, how can you predict who's going to have the first next year?
Well, you would have 2 1s next year.
Oh, so just trade it for someone's first. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
But
when you can just stick and pick, though, there's no point in trading up to 1. You just stick and pick a good guy. But when it's trade up or totally wait, like Murph said, there's an element of time here.
I don't see how Cam Ward drops to number 4 even. How is he dropping past those first 3 teams that all need a quarterback?
Well, what if Tennessee wants the 2026 class and they said you can have pick 1, but I want your first now and your first next year?
Well, I'm not doing that.
That's what I mean. You'd rather wait for a quarterback and get one next year.
Well, or draft one later in the draft, and then maybe draft one again next year if you really thought. if you're in position to get Arch Manning, although you know damn well they would say he's not going to play there. Don't draft him. And who knows? He may not even be the best quarterback coming out. We don't know. But I'm all for taking the Ohio State kid in the 5th round or something, and then taking a quarterback again next year if you need to.
Murph?
Like I said, I'm not giving up everything to do it. So if you're talking all in now or have 2 firsts next year, I'm probably going to choose the 2 firsts. As much as I hate to say it, because I want to fucking have a quarterback sit for a year.
You still can. You got Fields for 2 years, man. You have Fields for 2 years.
Because he's going to be booty cheeks this year. They're going to probably get rid of him. What do you expect, man? He's more than likely going to be booty cheeks this year. They're probably going to get rid of him. Bring in another guy that's going to be booty cheeks next year. Come on, man. This fan base is not going to wait. We've waited for 14 years already. We're not going to keep waiting, man.
No, but we got to be right too, and I that's why I feel like taking one this year. We're rushing things, man. We did not do our research. We thought Rodgers was going to be the quarterback this year. We did not do our research, man. Why are we forcing it? Matthews over here. You see what he's saying over here?
Do you think Muji wasn't scouting when he was still with the Broncos? Like, do you think that he wasn't like keeping an eye on things? It's not like the dude came out of. Like, it's not like he was spending last year in Nigeria or something. Like,
no, but these aren't his scouts. These aren't his scouts.
But all he's got to do is ask him for certain information. Like, he likes certain things out of certain players. All he has to do is say, hey, is this guy fast? Is this guy agile? Does he have trouble getting off press? Does this guy do, that's all he's got to do is he just gets information from them. They're not making the decisions for him. They're not saying, hey, this guy sucks, this guy's good.
Right.
No, they're just giving them information.
Can we all just agree that we don't even know that anyone other than Tennessee is taking Cam Ward? He's not even like, why are we? Matthew,
he's not dropping out of 1 or 2. Like, it's really pointless to even talk about because he's not dropping that far. We're not going to trade that far up to get him. We won't trade up to 1. First of all, I don't even think they will trade, but yeah, it's not happening. So it's really a moot point. John,
you know what? Johnny's going to be so bummed when he gets his number 7 jersey and it says Reddick on the back.
I'm just going to wear my Geno jersey next year and tape Fields over it.
There you go.
Over the nameplate.
Hey, I can't even think of anything clever. Good night, brothers.
All right. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking, let's go Jets. JTS. Jets.
Can't all be beautiful.
the Danger Zone.